Be still for a moment and close your eyes, not to escape the world, but to see the one within you. For the world you see out there is nothing more than a reflection of what you believe in here. We live in an age where we are constantly conditioned to look outward for answers. We look to the stars, to the alignment of planets, to the news, to the opinions of experts, and to the validation of others, to tell us who we are and where we are going. We search for signs in the external world, hoping that something outside of us will grant us permission to be happy, to be successful, or to be at peace. But this search is futile because it is directed in the wrong direction. The universe has a message for you, and it is not hidden in the stars or found in some distant galaxy light years away. It is right here within your own consciousness. It is a soft whisper beneath your loudest thoughts, and a quiet knowing beneath your loudest fears. The message is simply this: you are more powerful than you have ever been told. The great awakening begins when you realize that the universe is not a separate entity judging you from a throne in the sky. The universe is not responding to your words or your desperate pleas. It is responding to you. It is responding to your fundamental state of being. You were never meant to chase after anything. The very act of chasing implies that the thing you desire is running away from you. It implies separation. It implies that you are here and your good is over there. But this is the great illusion of the senses. What you desire is not far from you. It is you. You desire it because at some deeper level it already belongs to you. That longing you feel in the depths of your heart is not emptiness. It is not a sign of what you lack. It is memory. It is recognition. It is a premonition of a reality that already exists in the vast eternal now of your consciousness. Think about this deeply. You would not be able to desire something if you did not already possess the capacity to experience it. The desire is the proof of the existence of the thing desired. The universe is trying to remind you of who you are. Every time you imagine, every time you assume, every time you feel something deeply, you are communing with the source of all creation. That voice you call intuition is not a random thought. That is the universe saying, I have already prepared this for you. Just believe. You keep asking for signs, but what if the sign is the desire itself? What if the thing you want so badly is actually the universe's message in disguise? It is not teasing you. It is teaching you to claim what is yours. It is inviting you to step into the identity of the person who already has it. The world you see around you is a mirror. If you stand before a mirror and you see a frown on your reflection, you do not try to force the reflection to smile. You do not shout at the glass or try to manipulate the image with your hands. You know that to change the reflection, you must change your own face. You must smile first, and then the mirror has no choice but to reflect that smile back to you. Yet, in life we spend years fighting the mirror. We fight our circumstances, we argue with people, we struggle against our bank accounts, and we battle our health conditions, trying to force the external world to change while we remain the same inside. This is the cause of all suffering and frustration. The moment you understand that your outer world is nothing more than a mirror of your inner state, everything begins to change. You no longer see yourself as a victim of chance or circumstance. You begin to understand that every condition in your life, whether desired or undesired, is a manifestation of what you have assumed to be true about yourself and the world. This is the awakening. It is the realization that there is no power outside of you greater than the power within you. You are the operant power. You are the dreamer of the dream. When you wake up to this truth, you stop begging the world for scraps and you start commanding your reality through the power of your consciousness. This is not arrogance. It is spiritual maturity. It is accepting the responsibility that comes with being a creator. Everything you encounter in your world, every person, every event, every circumstance is not happening to you but through you. The world is not separate from you. It is your thoughts, your assumptions, your dominant feelings, and your innermost beliefs pushed out into form. What you consistently entertain within is what you will eventually experience without. This is not a theory to be debated. It is the living truth that governs reality. Consider for a moment the nature of your own awareness. Before you are a name, before you are a job title, before you are a role in a family, you are. That simple awareness of being, That feeling of I am is the fundamental reality of your existence. That I am is the creative power of the universe. When you say I am poor, or I am lonely, or I am sick, you are not just describing a fact. You are issuing a command. You are defining your state of being, and the universe, being impersonal and faithful, rushes to confirm that definition. It creates the circumstances that prove you right. But the beauty of this law is that it works both ways. When you dare to say I am wealthy, or I am loved, or I am whole, and when you say it not just with words, but with the conviction of feeling, the universe must also rush to confirm that. This is why the internal work is the only work that matters. The Great Awakening is the shift from reacting to life to creating life. Most people are asleep, living their lives as a series of reactions to the daily news, to the weather, to the moods of their boss, or to the numbers in their bank account. They are puppets pulled by the strings of the external world. But you are here because you are ready to cut the strings. You are ready to stop reacting and start determining. You are ready to go within and plant the seeds of the life you actually want to live, regardless of what the current evidence of your senses suggests. The senses are limited. They only report what has already been created. They tell you the history of your past thoughts. If you want to know your future, look at what you are imagining right now. Look at what you are feeling right now. The universe is not asking you to wait. It is waiting on you to awaken. It is waiting for you to stop looking for permission and to start giving yourself permission. The soft whisper of intuition is constantly guiding you toward your highest good, but it is often drowned out by the noise of fear and doubt. Fear is simply faith in the wrong things. Fear is a strong belief that something bad will happen. It is the misuse of your creative imagination. The awakening involves reclaiming your imagination from fear and directing it toward love and possibility. It involves understanding that your imagination is not a toy. It is the divine workshop of God. It is the space where reality is forged. When you desire something, do not look at the obstacle. Do not look at the time it might take. Do not look at the logical reasons why it cannot happen. Those are all part of the old paradigm of sleep. Instead, go within. Close your eyes to the outer world and open the eyes of your inner understanding. Dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled. Ask yourself how you would feel if your desire were already a fact. Would you be anxious? No. Would you be striving? No. You would be at peace. You would be grateful. You would feel a sense of naturalness and relief. That feeling is the key. That feeling is the language the universe understands. The moment you capture that feeling and sustain it, you have planted the seed. The bridge of incidents will unfold. You do not need to know how. You only need to know that it is done. The message from the universe is that you are never alone and you are never without help. But the help comes from within. It comes from your alignment with your true self. The entire vast world is a playground for your consciousness. It is malleable, it is fluid, it is responsive. It is only hard and fixed because you believe it to be so. When you soften your belief, the world softens. When you change your conception of yourself, the world changes its conception of you. This is the great secret that has been written in ancient texts and spoken by mystics for centuries. It is the discovery that God is not a distant deity, but the very awareness of being that sits at the center of your life. So today, stop looking outside for confirmation. Stop waiting for a miracle to drop from the sky. You are the miracle. The power to change your life is resting in your own hands, or more accurately, in your own mind. The universe is whispering to you right now. It is saying that you are worthy of your dreams. It is saying that your past does not define you. It is saying that you have the power to revise your story, to prune the vine of your life, and to grow a new garden. This awakening is an invitation to step into your sovereignty. It is a call to take your attention away from the lack and place it entirely on the abundance that exists within. As you move forward into the rest of this journey, remember that everything begins with you. You are the cause. The world is the effect. If you do not like the effect, do not fight it. Go back to the cause. Go back to your own consciousness. Change the feeling of I am. Change the story you are telling yourself about who you are and what is possible for you. The moment you do, the entire structure of the universe shifts to accommodate your new assumption. This is not magic. This is the law of your being. This is the great awakening. You are the dreamer, and the dream is yours to command. Stand tall in this truth. Let it settle into your bones. Let it quiet your fears. You are the operant power. And now, as we move deeper into understanding exactly how to apply this power, remember that the foundation of everything is this simple, unshakable truth. Your world is nothing more than your own consciousness pushed out. Having awakened to the truth that your world is a reflection of your own consciousness, we must now confront the greatest barrier that stands between you and your desires. That barrier is the misconception of effort. We have been conditioned from birth to believe that the only way to achieve anything of value is through blood, sweat, and tears. We are taught that struggle is noble, that hard work is the only currency the universe accepts, and that if we are not exhausted, we are not making progress. But I am here to tell you that in the realm of metaphysics and the shaping of reality, effort is not your friend. In fact, effort is often the very obstacle that keeps your desire at arm's length. This brings us to the fundamental principle that governs your reality, which is the law of assumption. To understand why effort fails, you must first understand the nature of the subconscious mind. Your subconscious is the creative womb of your reality, and it does not respond to coercion. It does not respond to force. You cannot bully the universe into giving you what you want. When you apply force, when you strain and struggle mentally to make something happen, you are inadvertently signaling to your subconscious that you do not have the thing you desire. Think about it deeply. You only struggle to get what you do not possess. You only strain to reach a destination that is far away. Therefore, the very act of trying implies the absence of the desire. By the law of your own consciousness, if you affirm absence through your struggle, the universe must manifest more absence. This is the great paradox that baffles the world. The harder they try, the further away the goal seems to drift. It is like quicksand, where the more you thrash and fight, the faster you sink. The law of assumption operates on a completely different frequency. An assumption is an act of faith that denies the evidence of the senses and dares to claim the desire as a present fact. To assume does not mean to hope. It does not mean to wish. To assume means to take upon oneself. It means to appropriate a state of being. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are not trying to get there. You are declaring that you are already there. And because you are already there in consciousness, there is no need for struggle. There is only the calm, confident knowing that it is done. This is the difference between the force of will and the power of imagination. Willpower is the engine of effort, but imagination is the engine of creation. When the will and the imagination are in conflict, the imagination always wins. If you try to use your willpower to be wealthy while your imagination is filled with scenes of poverty and lack, your imagination will prevail every single time. This is why you must abandon the idea that you have to fight the world to get what you want. The world is not a battlefield, it is a mirror. You cannot fight a mirror. You can only change what you present to it. The law of assumption asks you to cease the external battle and perform the internal act of surrender. This surrender is not giving up on your dream. It is giving up the resistance to it. It is surrendering to the feeling that your dream is already a reality. When you truly assume the state of your wish fulfilled, the most distinct feeling you will experience is not excitement but relief. It is a deep, exhaling relief. It is the feeling of a weight being lifted off your shoulders, because you no longer have to chase the desire, you possess it. And you cannot chase what you already hold in your hand. Let us look deeper into the mechanism of why assumption succeeds where effort fails. Your reality is formed by your dominant state of consciousness. A state of consciousness is simply a bundle of beliefs, feelings, and assumptions that you hold about yourself. Most people try to change their lives by changing their actions while leaving their state of consciousness untouched. They work harder, they network more, they save every penny, but inside, they still feel small, they still feel poor, they still feel unworthy. They are putting new wine into old wineskins, and eventually the wineskins burst. The law of assumption commands you to change the state first. You must move from the state of the seeker to the state of the one who has found. You must move from the state of wanting to the state of having. You might ask how one effectively assumes a state without feeling like a fraud. This is a valid question. The key lies in the concept of naturalness. An assumption, to be effective, must feel natural. It must feel like it fits you. If you affirm I am a millionaire but your stomach churns with anxiety because you do not believe it, you are using effort. You are trying to force a belief that your subconscious rejects. Instead, you must use your imagination to bring the feeling of wealth close to you until it feels familiar. You might start by assuming the feeling of security, the feeling of freedom, the feeling of having more than enough. You wear this feeling like a new suit. At first, the suit may feel stiff and strange. You are conscious of it. But as you continue to wear it, as you persist in the assumption, the suit begins to mold to your body. It becomes comfortable. It becomes natural. Eventually, you forget you are wearing a suit at all. It just becomes who you are. That is when the assumption hardens into fact. The universe is always eavesdropping on your inner conversations and observing your inner reactions. When you are operating from effort, your inner conversation is frantic. You are constantly asking, when will it come? And how will it happen? And why is it taking so long? These questions are the breeding ground of doubt. But when you operate from assumption, your inner conversation changes. It becomes quiet. It becomes confident. You walk through your day with the secret knowledge that your success is inevitable. You look at the world and you smile, knowing that the bridge of incidents is being laid out before you by a power far greater than your conscious mind. You do not need to micromanage the universe. You only need to occupy the state of the end. This implies a radical shift in how you approach action. There is a time for action, but action must follow assumption, not precede it. When you have fully assumed the state of your wish fulfilled, you will find yourself moving automatically. You will take actions, but they will not feel like labor. They will be inspired. They will be the path of least resistance. You will find yourself at the right place at the right time, saying the right things. This is what we call flow. It is the absence of friction. Friction only exists when your inner state and your outer desires are misaligned. When you align them through the law of assumption, friction disappears and you glide toward your destiny. Many of you are exhausted. You are tired of fighting for your health, fighting for your relationships, fighting for your financial freedom. I am inviting you to lay down your weapons. The war is over because the war was only ever in your mind. The law of assumption offers you a peace treaty. It says that you can have anything you desire if you are willing to give up the identity of the person who does not have it. You must die to the old self to be born into the new. You cannot drag the old, struggling, victimized version of yourself into the new reality. You must leave that version behind. You must assume the dignity and the posture of the person you wish to be. Consider the actor who prepares for a great role. He does not just memorize lines. He studies the character until he thinks like the character, walks like the character, and feels like the character. He assumes the identity. When he steps on stage, he does not try to convince the audience. He simply is that person. You are the actor in the drama of your life. If you want to play the role of the successful business owner, or the loving partner, or the healthy individual, you must rehearse that role in the silence of your imagination. You must assume it until it is the only role you know how to play. The world is your audience, and it will confirm whatever role you commit to with conviction. The failure of effort is the failure to trust. When you try too hard, you are saying, I do not trust that I am powerful enough to create this simply by being it. You are placing your trust in external manipulation rather than internal causation. But the law of assumption restores your trust in your own wonderful human imagination. It teaches you that the subtle, invisible act of assuming a feeling is more powerful than 1,000 hours of physical labor. This does not mean you sit on a couch and do nothing. It means your doing comes from your being. It means your physical actions are the fruit of your assumption, not the root of it. So how do you apply this today? You stop striving and you start occupying. If you have a bill to pay and no money, do not spend your mental energy worrying and scrambling. Withdraw into your imagination. Construct a scene that implies the bill is paid. Feel the relief of that completed transaction. Hear the words, "Thank you for your payment." Assume the emotion of gratitude. Do this until the knot in your stomach unties itself. Do this until you feel a quiet sense of certainty. Then, return to your day. You will find that the panic has subsided, and in that clarity, the solution will present itself, or the money will come from a source you did not anticipate. This is the law in action. It works for the small things and it works for the great things. Ultimately, the law of assumption is a call to spiritual royalty. It is an invitation to rule your world from the throne of your consciousness rather than begging as a servant to circumstances. Effort is the way of the servant. Assumption is the way of the king. You are invited to ascend the throne. You are invited to clothe yourself in the reality of your dreams. Do not wait for the world to give you permission. The world is waiting for you to give it instructions. And you instruct the world not by shouting at it, but by assuming a state of being that compels the world to change. This is the secret that the great mystics and teachers have whispered for ages. It is the secret that effort is an unnecessary burden. Your desires are not mountains to be climbed, they are states to be inhabited. The distance between you and your dream is not physical distance. It is psychological distance. The moment you close that gap in your mind, the moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the gap in the physical world begins to close as well. Trust this law. Test this law. Stop trying so hard and start believing so deeply that your belief becomes the only reality that matters. When you do this, you will look back at your days of struggle and wonder why you ever thought you had to fight for what was already yours. The law of assumption is the key to the effortless life. Take it, use it, and watch the prison walls of effort crumble around you, revealing the boundless freedom that has always been your birthright. We now arrive at perhaps the most challenging, yet most liberating concept you will ever encounter on this journey of awakening. We have established that your world is a reflection of your inner state, and that assumption is the key to shaping reality. But now we must take this truth and apply it to the area of life that causes the most joy and the most suffering, which is your relationships with other people. This brings us to the profound revelation that everyone is you pushed out. This phrase is not merely a poetic metaphor. It is the literal mechanics of how human interaction works within the framework of consciousness. To understand this is to hold the key to harmony, love, and influence. To ignore this is to remain a victim of the whims and moods of others forever. When we look at the people in our lives, our family, our partners, our bosses, even strangers on the street, we see them as separate entities with their own independent wills, their own judgments, and their own agendas. We believe they can choose to love us or reject us, help us or hinder us, based entirely on their own internal reasoning. This belief in separation is the root of all conflict. The truth is far more radical. The people in your life are not acting independently of you. They are acting in accordance with the script you have unconsciously written for them. They are reflecting back to you exactly what you believe about yourself and what you assume to be true about them. Imagine for a moment that your life is a grand stage play. You are the writer, the director, and the lead actor. Everyone else you meet is a supporting actor. They have no script of their own. They are waiting in the wings, silent and formless, until you hand them a script through your beliefs and expectations. If you walk onto the stage of your life feeling insecure, unworthy, and expecting rejection, you are handing the other actors a script that says, reject me or treat me with indifference. And because they are faithful actors in your reality, they must play that part. They must treat you poorly to confirm your assumption that you are unworthy of good treatment. They are not doing this to hurt you. They are doing this because you are the operant power, and they are bearing witness to the state of consciousness you are occupying. This is a difficult pill to swallow for the ego, because the ego loves to blame. It loves to say, he hurt me, or she abandoned me, or they do not respect me. It loves the narrative of the victim. But if you want to be the creator of your life, you must abandon the comfort of blame. You must accept the radical responsibility that there is no one to change but self. When you change, they change. They have no choice. The world is a mirror, and a mirror has no initiative of its own. It can only reflect what stands before it. If you change your self-concept to one of dignity, value, and being deeply loved, the people around you must shift to reflect that new energy. Those who cannot reflect it will fade away from your experience, and those who can will be drawn to you or will change their behavior to match your new standard. Let us look at the mechanics of this deeply. We are always broadcasting a signal. This signal is composed of our inner conversations and our dominant feelings. This signal is telepathic. You do not need to say a word for people to pick up on how you feel about yourself. If you're walking around with a deep-seated feeling that you are not good enough, you are broadcasting that frequency to everyone you meet. The boss who overlooks you for a promotion is receiving that signal. The romantic partner who is distant or non-committal is receiving that signal. They are responding to your transmission. You might argue and say, "But I treat them so well. Why do they treat me so poorly?" It is because the universe does not respond to your outward behavior. It responds to your inner estimation of yourself. You can be the kindest person in the world, externally. But if internally you feel like a doormat, the world will walk on you. This concept of everyone is you pushed out explains why we often see patterns repeat in our lives. Have you ever noticed that you can change jobs, move to a new city, or find a new partner, and yet the same dynamic plays out again? You leave a toxic boss only to find a new boss who treats you the exact same way. You leave a partner who didn't appreciate you, only to attract a new one who also takes you for granted. Why does this happen? The faces change, the names change, the scenery changes, but the conflict remains the same. It remains the same because you remain the same. You took your self-concept with you to the new city. You took your assumptions into the new relationship. The mirror simply reflected your face in a new location. To break the cycle, you must smash the old reflection by changing the face you present to the mirror. This empowers you beyond measure. It means you do not need to manipulate others. You do not need to argue, beg, plead, or force anyone to see your value. You simply need to go within and establish that value in your own consciousness. When you fully accept and love yourself, the world will rush to confirm that self-love. You will find people treating you with a kindness and respect that borders on the miraculous. You will wonder what changed in them, but nothing changed in them. Something awakened in you. You stopped handing them the script of the villain and started handing them the script of the ally, the lover, the supporter. Let us apply this practically to a relationship that might be struggling. Suppose there is someone in your life who is cold or critical. Your instinct is to react, to defend yourself, or to criticize them back. But this only reinforces the unwanted reality. Instead, simply stop. Withdraw your attention from their behavior, go into the silence of your mind and rewrite the script. Imagine that person standing before you, and imagine them saying exactly what you wish they would say. Hear them apologizing, or praising you, or expressing love. Feel the reality of that interaction. Do not do this to manipulate them. Do this to change yourself. Do this until you feel no resentment, only the peace of the wish fulfilled. As you persist in this new inner conversation, you will see the outer dynamic shift. They may call you out of the blue. They may suddenly change their tone, or the relationship may end peacefully to make room for one that matches your new state. But the struggle will end. This truth also dissolves the poison of jealousy and competition. If everyone is you pushed out, then there is no one to compete with. The success of another is simply evidence of success existing in your reality. It is a reflection of what is possible for you. When you envy another, you are affirming that you do not have what they have and thus you push it away. But when you bless another, when you see their success and affirm it as part of your world, you draw that success to yourself. We are all connected by the same one consciousness. There is only one being playing all the parts. The same consciousness that looks out of your eyes, looks out of the eyes of your enemy and your lover. The difference is only in the arrangement of the mind. This understanding requires a high degree of vigilance. You must become the guardian of your thoughts regarding others. Every time you think a negative thought about someone, every time you conduct a mental argument with them in the shower or on your commute, you are cementing that negative relationship. You are putting energy into a reality you do not want. You must stop these inner arguments immediately. They are destructive. Replace them with loving, constructive conversations. Assume the best of people. Assume they are kind. Assume they are generous. Assume they see your worth. By assuming the best in others, you draw the best out of them. You become a magnet for their highest qualities. It is a radical way to live. It takes courage to take full responsibility for your world. It is much easier to point fingers and say, they are the problem. But as long as they are the problem, you have no solution. If the cause is outside, you are powerless. But if the cause is within, you are omnipotent in your own universe. You are the operant power. Everyone is you pushed out means that you are never a victim of a person. You are only a victim of your own state of mind. And a state of mind can be changed in an instant. Consider the freedom this brings. You no longer need to wait for an apology to heal. You can revise the past in your imagination and accept the apology internally. The relief will be just as real. You no longer need to wait for recognition to feel successful. You assume the feeling of success, and the world will eventually reflect it. You are the center of your web of reality. If you move, the whole web moves with you. If you stand still, the web remains frozen. So, look at your relationships today as a diagnostic tool. Do not judge yourself for what you see. If you see disharmony, simply recognize it as a reflection of an inner turmoil or a lack of self-love. Then, go to work on the only place that matters, your own self-concept. Fall in love with yourself. Treat yourself with the dignity and respect you crave from others. Speak to yourself with kindness. Prioritize your own well-being. As you fill your own cup, the world will reflect that overflow. The specific people in your life will begin to reflect the love you have found within. This is the great secret of influence. True influence is not coercion. It is radiation. You radiate a state of being, and others pick up on that radiation and act accordingly. If you want a loving world, be love. If you want a respectful world, be respect. If you want a generous world, be generous in your own mind. There is no other way. The mirror cannot lie. It has no agenda. It is neutrally, faithfully reflecting the person you have chosen to be. As we move forward from this understanding, remember that this gives you the power of forgiveness in its truest sense. To forgive is not to condone bad behavior. To forgive is to shift your attention away from the version of the person who hurt you and to focus on the version of the person you desire to see. It is to release the old script and write a new one. By doing this, you free them, and you free yourself. You step out of the karmic loop of reaction and into the creative spiral of ascension. Everyone is you pushed out. Let this phrase echo in your mind. Let it remind you that you are never interacting with strangers. You are interacting with aspects of your own consciousness. Treat your world with care, for it is your own self made visible. When you heal your perception of others, you heal yourself. When you lift others up in your imagination, you rise with them. We are all one vast, interconnected garment of life, woven by the loom of your imagination. Change the pattern in your mind, and the pattern of the world must follow. This is the law. This is the promise. This is the power of understanding the mirror of reality. We have journeyed through the awakening of your true identity, and we have looked into the mirror of reality to see that everyone is yourself pushed out. Now we arrive at the very engine of creation, the mechanism by which the invisible becomes visible. This is the secret that the ancients guarded and the mystics whispered. It is the truth that feeling is the secret. To understand this is to hold the key to the laboratory of God. You see, it is not enough to simply know intellectually that you are the creator. You must understand how to operate the creative power. That power resides in the marriage between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. To grasp this, You must understand the distinct roles these two aspects of your mind play. Your conscious mind is the male aspect, the selector, the gardener who chooses the seeds. It reasons, it judges, it looks at the world and says, I accept this or I reject that. But the subconscious mind is the female aspect, the womb of creation. It does not reason, it does not judge, it does not argue. It simply accepts whatever is impressed upon it by the conscious mind and gives it form in your world. The subconscious is the creative power that sustains the universe, yet it subjects itself to the direction of your conscious feeling. This is a relationship of profound importance. If you are the gardener, your subconscious is the fertile soil. The soil does not care if you plant poison ivy or a beautiful rose. It will nourish and bring to harvest whatever seed is pressed into it with the most conviction. This brings us to the vital definition of feeling. When we speak of feeling in this context, we are not talking about volatile emotions. We are not talking about hysteria, frantic excitement, or the temporary highs that come from a sugar rush or a fleeting event. We are speaking of something far deeper. We are speaking of the feeling of the reality of the state. It is the feeling of knowing. It is the feeling of naturalness. It is the feeling of it is done. Think of a desire you have, perhaps for financial freedom. The feeling of wealth is not a manic excitement. If you were truly wealthy right now, you would not be jumping up and down screaming about money. You would feel secure. You would feel a quiet sense of power. You would feel relieved that the struggle is over. That deep, settling feeling of relief and satisfaction is the language the subconscious understands. The universe does not speak English, French, or Spanish. It speaks frequency, and feeling is the frequency of your being. A thought without a feeling is like a cloud without rain. It passes by and leaves no mark on the earth. You can affirm, I am successful 1,000 times a day, but if your dominant feeling while saying it is one of frustration and lack, the subconscious will reject the words and accept the feeling. You cannot lie to your own subconscious. It knows the truth of what you are vibrating. It is always eavesdropping, not just on your thoughts, but on the emotional tone behind them. This is why so many fail to manifest their desires. They try to convince the world with their words, but they cannot convince their own subconscious because their feeling contradicts their affirmation. To impress the subconscious, you must become a master of your moods. You must learn to induce the feeling of the wish fulfilled at will, regardless of what the external world is showing you. This requires a withdrawal of the senses. The senses are always reporting separation and lack. They tell you that your bank account is empty or that you are alone. If you react to this evidence with feelings of despair, you are impressing that despair upon the subconscious, and it will faithfully reproduce more circumstances to cause despair. You must learn to shut out the evidence of the senses. You must go within and ask yourself, if my wish were realized right now, how would I feel? Catch that mood. Capture that sensation. It might be a feeling of gratitude. It might be a feeling of immense peace. Hold that feeling. Bathe in it. Let it saturate your mind like water saturating a sponge. The most powerful time to impress the subconscious is in the state akin to sleep. This is the time just before you drift off to sleep at night, or just as you are waking up in the morning. In this drowsy state, the conscious mind's defenses are down. The logical, argumentative part of you is tired and less active. The door to the subconscious is wide open. This is the sacred hour of creation. Do not waste these precious moments worrying about the problems of tomorrow or replaying the arguments of today. That is a misuse of your creative power. Instead, as you lay in bed, mobilize your attention. Bring before your mind's eye the scene that implies your wish is fulfilled. Do not look at the scene as a spectator watching a movie screen. You must step into the scene. You must be the actor in it. See the world from your own eyes. If you desire a new home, do not see the house from a distance. Imagine you are holding the key in your hand. Feel the cold metal of the key. Put the key in the lock. Turn it. Feel the weight of the door as you push it open. Smell the scent of the new paint or the wood. Hear the sound of your footsteps in the hallway. Engage all your imaginary senses: touch, sight, sound, scent. But above all, feel the reality of it. Feel the joy of I am finally here. Sleep in that assumption. Let that be the last thing that touches your mind before you cross the threshold into unconsciousness. When you do this, you are effectively planting the seed in the most fertile soil possible. You are giving your subconscious a blueprint to work on while you sleep. While you are resting, your subconscious has no choice but to take that impression and begin to weave the threads of your reality to match it. It will influence your actions the next day. It will influence the people you meet. It will arrange the coincidences that seem like magic but are actually the unfolding of your own impression. This is why we say, never go to sleep in a state of conflict. If you go to sleep angry, worried, or depressed, you are commanding your subconscious to create more conflict, worry, and depression for the days ahead. You must discipline yourself to revise the day before you sleep. If something went wrong, rewrite it in your mind. Replay the scene as it should have happened. Feel the relief of the revised version and fall asleep in that feeling. This practice of feeling is the secret to breaking the chains of the past. Many people are stuck in a loop of recreating their past because they continue to feel the same emotions of the past. They feel the same resentment, the same guilt, the same shame. They are reinfecting their subconscious every single day with the same old virus. You must choose to feel differently. You must dare to assume the feeling of the person you want to be, even before there is any physical evidence to support it. This is what we call faith. Faith is not believing in something that does not exist. Faith is the loyalty to the unseen reality. It is the loyalty to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You might ask, how do I know if I have successfully impressed the subconscious? You will know by the change in your inner state. When the seed is planted, the hunger disappears. If you truly felt that you had your desire, you would no longer be anxious about getting it. You would feel a sense of calm accomplishment. You would walk through your world with a secret knowing, a confidence that cannot be shaken. The need to force things externally vanishes because you know the work is done internally. The pregnancy has begun, and just as a mother knows she is pregnant and waits confidently for the birth, you know your desire is gestating and will arrive in its own perfect time. Do not abort the seed by digging it up with doubt. Every time you question, is it working? Or where is it? You are digging up the seed. You are stepping out of the state of the wish fulfilled and back into the state of lack. You must persist in the feeling. Persistence is not about effort. It is about frequency. It is about returning to the feeling of the wish fulfilled as often as necessary until it becomes your natural dwelling place. If you fall out of the state, do not judge yourself. Simply gently guide your attention back. Ask yourself again, how would it feel? And step back into that mood. The subconscious is impartial. It respects no person. It respects only the impression. It does not care if you are a king or a beggar. It will produce what you feel you are. If a beggar can assume the feeling of a king, the subconscious will move heaven and earth to raise him to a throne. If a king assumes the feeling of a beggar, his kingdom will be taken from him. This is the true meaning of the saying, to him who has, more will be given, and from him who has not, even what he has will be taken away. It is not about material possessions. It is about the possession of the feeling. If you have the feeling of abundance, you will be given the physical abundance. If you lack the feeling, you will lose even what you have. So your work, your only true work, is to guard your feelings. You are the guardian of the gate. Do not let anything enter your subconscious that you do not wish to see realized in your world. When negative news comes, do not react with emotional acceptance. Observe it, but do not accept it as your final truth. Withdraw into your imagination and feel the opposite. This is the pruning shears of revision. You have the power to accept or reject every suggestion the world offers you. You are not a cork bobbing on the ocean of emotion. You are the captain of the ship. Your feeling is the rudder. As you master this secret, you will discover that you are never a victim of circumstances. You are only ever a victim of your own uncontrolled feelings. But once you take control, Once you decide that you will determine how you feel regardless of what the mirror shows you, you become free. You become the conscious creator. You begin to play with the clay of the universe. You shape it into health. You shape it into wealth. You shape it into love. Not by working yourself to the bone, but by feeling yourself into the state. Remember this, the subconscious does not sleep. It is working 24 hours a day. It is always listening. It is always watching your inner reactions. Treat it with respect. Feed it with the best feelings. Feed it with love, with nobility, with success. Speak to it in the language of the wish fulfilled. As you do this, you will see your world transform. The hard rocks of reality will melt like wax and reshape themselves into the mold of your new feelings. This is the law. This is the promise. Feeling is the secret. And now that you hold this key, use it to unlock the door to the life you were destined to live. We have explored the nature of the subconscious and the secret of feeling, but now we must ascend to the very throne of your being. We must identify the one who feels, the one who selects, and the one who creates. We must talk about the true identity of God. Throughout the ages, humanity has looked for God in temples made of stone, in rituals, in statues, and in the clouds above. They have pleaded with a distant deity to change their circumstances. But I tell you now that God is not found in a building, and He is not millions of miles away. God is your own wonderful human imagination. This is the most radical and transforming truth you will ever hear. When you say I am, that is God. And the power that allows you to conceive of a reality that does not yet exist, the power that allows you to dream, to visualize, and to enter a state of being, is the creative power of God in action. To misunderstand this is to remain a slave to life, but to accept this is to become the master of your destiny. Imagination is not merely a mental faculty for daydreaming or wishful thinking as the world would have you believe. It is not a place of escape. It is the place of creation. It is the very substance of the universe. Everything you see in the physical world, every building, every invention, every nation, every work of art was once only an image in the human imagination. It existed in the invisible before it became visible. The world of the senses is simply the hardened exhaust of the imagination. Therefore, to change your world, you must stop wrestling with the shadows on the screen of space and change the film in the projector of your mind. You must stop trying to change people and circumstances through force and start changing them through the divine art of imagination. This brings us to the specific technique that utilizes this power, a technique we call living in the end. To live in the end is to mentally inhabit the state of your desire fulfilled. It is to skip over the means and the how and go straight to the destination. Most people think of their goals. They look at their desires as something distant, something to be reached for, something separate from themselves. This creates a state of separation and longing, which only manifests more separation and longing. The secret of the operant power is to think from the end. You must learn to mentally position yourself at the finish line. Let us illustrate this clearly. If you want to go to a new city, you can look at a map of that city and desire to be there. That is thinking of the end. But if you are actually in that city, you do not look at it on a map. You look at the world from that city. You see your former home as being behind you. You see the streets of the new city around you. To live in the end means you must mentally move into the state where your desire is already a physical fact. You must view the world from that vantage point. If you desire to be happily married, you do not walk around feeling lonely and hoping for a partner. You walk around feeling the presence of a ring on your finger. You look at the world as a person who is already loved, already chosen, already secure. You interpret every event in your day through the lens of that new identity. This requires a suspension of your reason and a denial of your senses. Reason and the senses are the great adversaries of the imagination. Your senses will look around and tell you you are poor. Your reason will look at your bank account and say, it is mathematically impossible for you to be wealthy. If you listen to them, you are dead in your sins. You are trapped in the dead past. To exercise your divine power, you must dare to defy the evidence of your senses. You must ignore what the mirror tells you and trust what your imagination tells you. You must become like the inner man who walks by faith and not by sight. When you close your eyes and construct a scene of your wish fulfilled, that scene is real. It is real in the fourth dimension of your consciousness. And because it is real there, if you remain faithful to it, it must become real here in the three-dimensional world. Living in the end is not a one-time act. It is a sustained attitude. It is an inner habitation. You cannot visit the state of your wish fulfilled for 5 minutes in meditation and then spend the rest of the day complaining about your problems. That is like planting a seed and then digging it up every hour to see if it is growing. You must dwell in the end. You must make it your home. When doubts arise, and they will, you do not fight them with logic. You simply return to the end. You ask yourself, if this were true, how would I feel? And you slip back into that feeling of relief and gratitude. You anchor yourself in the finished state. Consider the concept of time. In the imagination, there is no time, there is only now. When you imagine, you are bringing the future into the present. You are making then into now and there into here. By doing this, you collapse the timeline. The bridge of incidents that leads to the physical manifestation will unfold naturally and inevitably. You do not need to build the bridge. You do not need to force the connections. The state you occupy in your imagination has its own ways and means of externalizing itself, ways that you know not of. Your only responsibility is to remain loyal to the unseen reality. This is where true spiritual maturity is tested. It is easy to have faith when things are going well. But can you hold your vision when the world is crumbling around you? Can you persist in the assumption of health when the doctor gives you a bad report? Can you persist in the assumption of wealth when the bill collectors are calling? This is not delusion. This is the high calling of the Creator. This is asserting your supremacy over the illusion of matter. When you stand firm in your imagination, ignoring the chaotic evidence of the senses, you are declaring that you are God in the flesh. You are declaring that your inner world is the cause and the outer world is just the effect. And eventually, the outer world must yield. It has no choice. It has no life of its own. It only reflects the life you breathe into it. The art of living in the end requires you to be intense in your imagination but relaxed in your body. It is not a strain. It is a game of make-believe played with the seriousness of a master. You are like an actor who stays in character even when the cameras are not rolling. If you want to be a successful executive, you dress like one in your mind. You talk like one in your inner conversations. You shake hands with the feeling of authority. You sleep with the feeling of accomplishment. You do not wait for the promotion to feel this way. You feel this way to cause the promotion. You must appropriate the state before the state can appropriate you. Many of you are waiting for a sign. You are waiting for the external world to give you a green light before you allow yourself to be happy or confident. You have it backward. You are the light. You give the signal. The world is a mirror that waits for you to smile. If you wait for the mirror to smile first, you will wait forever. You must initiate the change. You must dare to assume that you are already the person you want to be. And you must do it now, not tomorrow, not next year, now. In the sanctity of this present moment, you can shift your identity. You can step into a new timeline. Do not worry about the people who say it is impossible. Do not worry about the logic that says it cannot be done. Logic is the limit of the rational mind, but imagination is the infinite power of the spiritual mind. History is full of the so-called impossible becoming possible because one person dared to imagine it. The airplane, the internet, the breaking of physical records, all of these were once considered impossible by the rational minds of their time. They became reality because someone lived in the end. They saw the finished product in their imagination and refused to take no for an answer. You are invited to join this lineage of creators. You are invited to stop being a creature of circumstance and become a creator of circumstance. When you practice this, you may notice a time lag. The physical world is heavy and slow compared to the lightning speed of thought. Do not let this discourage you. The delay is not a denial. It is simply the time it takes for the seed to germinate and break through the soil. During this time, your faith is your water. Every time you return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are watering the seed. Every time you refuse to be discouraged by appearances, you are pulling the weeds of doubt. Trust the incubation period. If you have imagined it and felt it to be true, it is already a reality in the mental realm, and nothing can stop it from becoming a reality in the physical realm except your own abandonment of the state. There is a divine voice within you that speaks through desire. Do not judge your desires as wrong or selfish. If they are born of love and harm no one, they are the promises of God whispering to you. They are the foreshadowing of what you are capable of creating. To deny your true desire is to deny the God within you. To accept it and live in the end of it is to worship God in the highest way by trusting His power to bring it to pass. So, I challenge you today. Select a goal. Any goal. Do not ask if it is possible. Ask only if you want it. Then, close your eyes and construct a scene that implies you have it. Enter that scene. Touch the furniture. Hear the voices of friends congratulating you. Feel the joy of success. Do this until it feels real. Then open your eyes. You may return to a room that looks the same, but you are not the same. You have changed. You have impregnated the atmosphere with your assumption. Now, walk through your day in that mood. If reality contradicts you, smile and say to yourself, "This is just a shadow. My imagination is the reality." Persist in this. Do not waver. And you will see the walls of your Jericho crumble. You will see the Red Sea part. You will see the mountains move. You are not a body with a soul. You are a soul with a body. You are all imagination. The limits you see are only the limits of your current mental diet. Expand your imagination and you expand your life. Contract your imagination and you contract your life. The choice is yours. The power is yours. The kingdom is yours. Live in the end, and the beginning and the middle will take care of themselves. This is the divine law. This is the nature of the God within you. Awakening to this is the purpose of your life. Step into your power. Be the writer of your play. Be the master of your fate. Imagination is God, and God is in you. Before we descend from this mountain of revelation into the practical discipline of your daily inner speech, I invite you to pause for a moment. If these words are resonating with the deepest part of your soul, if you feel a stirring of recognition that you are indeed the operant power of your life, then you have found your tribe. This channel is dedicated to the few who are ready to awaken from the dream of limitation. We are building a community of conscious creators. If you wish to continue this journey and receive these reminders, simply click the subscribe button now. Do not do it out of habit, but as a commitment to your own awakening. By joining us, you ensure that you stay aligned with these truths. Now, let us examine the tool you use every single waking moment, your inner conversation. We have explored the grand concepts of the universe, the power of assumption, and the divine nature of imagination. But now we must descend from the mountain of revelation into the marketplace of daily life. We must examine the tool you use every single waking moment of your existence. This tool is your inner conversation. If imagination is the engine of creation, then your inner speech is the fuel that keeps it running. Most people are totally unaware that they are talking to themselves all day long. They believe they are merely thinking, but if they were to listen closely to the silence of their minds, they would hear a ceaseless drama of arguments, justifications, and rehearsals. This internal dialogue is not passive. It is the most active creative force in your world, because your life is nothing more than your inner conversations frozen into form. You must understand that speech is the image of the mind. What you say to yourself internally is what you eventually see externally. The world is a faithful recording device. It records the secret conversations you hold with yourself in the privacy of your mind and plays them back to you as the circumstances of your life. If you want to know why your relationships are struggling, why your finances are stagnant, or why your health is suffering, do not look at the external causes. Look at what you have been secretly saying to yourself. Are you arguing with your boss in the shower? Are you justifying your failures to imaginary critics while you drive to work? Are you rehashing an old argument with your partner before you fall asleep? These are not harmless thoughts. They are commands. You are writing the script that the world must act out. This brings us to the discipline of the mental diet. Just as you would not feed your body poison and expect it to be healthy, you cannot feed your mind poisonous, negative inner conversations and expect your life to be successful. A mental diet is not about repressing negative thoughts. It is about actively choosing the conversations you wish to entertain. It is a conscious decision to stop the old, destructive, mechanical talking and begin a new, constructive, and intentional dialogue. This is the most difficult, yet most rewarding work you will ever do. It requires you to be a watchman at the gate of your mind. You must observe your inner speech with the intensity of a hawk. When you catch yourself carrying on a negative conversation, you must stop it immediately. Do not finish the sentence. Do not indulge in the emotion. Cut it off and replace it with the conversation you would have if your desire were already a reality. Let us look at how this applies to the concept of everyone is you pushed out. We often wonder why people treat us the way they do. We think they're being difficult or unkind. But if you were to examine your inner speech, you would likely find that you have been arguing with them mentally long before they argued with you physically. You have been anticipating their criticism. You have been defending yourself against their imaginary attacks. And because the world is a mirror, they have no choice but to reflect that conflict back to you. If you want to change a person, change your inner conversation with them. In your imagination, hear them saying the things you want them to say. Hear them congratulating you. Hear them expressing love. Hear them agreeing with you. If you persist in this new inner dialogue, their behavior in the outer world will shift to match it. It may seem like magic, but it is simply the law of correspondence. As within, so without. The state of your life is the direct result of the sum total of your inner speech. If you are poor, it is because you have been holding inner conversations of lack. You have been saying things like, I can't afford it. It's too expensive, or money is hard to come by. These phrases are seeds. You plant them in the morning, and you eat their bitter fruit in the evening. To change your financial world, you must change your internal language. You must begin to speak to yourself from the premise of abundance. You must say, I have more than enough, wealth flows to me easily, and I am grateful for this prosperity. At first, your mind may reject this. It may feel like a lie, but you must persist. You must overwrite the old tracks of poverty with new tracks of wealth. Eventually, the new conversation will become natural, and when it becomes natural, the money will appear. This practice requires a relentless vigilance. You cannot go on a mental diet for 1 hour in the morning and then spend the rest of the day binging on negativity. It must be a lifestyle. You must become so sensitive to your inner atmosphere that the moment a negative thought tries to take root, you pull it out. Imagine your mind as a garden. Inner conversations are the water and the fertilizer. If you water the weeds of fear and doubt, they will choke out the flowers of your desire. You must starve the weeds and nourish the flowers. You must refuse to participate in unlovely conversations, even in the secrecy of your own head. Remember, there are no secrets in the universe. Your inner speech is shouted from the rooftops of your reality. One of the most powerful ways to use inner speech is to construct a short, rhythmic phrase that implies the fulfillment of your desire. It could be something simple like, isn't it wonderful? Or, thank you. If you repeat this phrase internally with feeling, it acts as a battering ram against the walls of doubt. It crowds out the negative chatter and focuses the mind on the feeling of gratitude. If you are facing a problem, do not argue with the problem. Do not try to solve it with anxious thinking. Instead, affirm the solution. Say to yourself, it is finished. It is resolved perfectly. By doing this, you lift your consciousness above the problem, and from that higher vantage point, the solution flows naturally. We are creatures of habit, and our inner speech is the most deeply ingrained habit we have. We have been talking to ourselves negatively for decades, reinforcing our limitations and fears. To break this habit, you must be willing to be uncomfortable. You must be willing to sound delusional to your rational mind. When the rational mind says, Look at the facts. You are failing. You must answer with your new inner speech, I am succeeding. I am rising. I am the conqueror. You must carry on this inner battle until the new conversation wins. And it will win if you persist. The outer world has no power to stand against a persistent inner voice. The voice that speaks within is the voice of God, and God's word does not return void. Think of a time when you were angry with someone. You probably spent hours having a heated argument with them in your mind. You told them exactly what you thought. You replayed their insults. You justified your anger. And what happened the next time you saw them? The tension was thick. The conflict exploded. You created that reality with your inner speech. Now imagine if you had used that same energy to hold a loving conversation. Imagine if you had heard them apologizing and you accepting it. The outcome would have been entirely different. You have the power to save your relationships, your job, and your peace of mind. Simply by controlling your tongue, the inner tongue that speaks in the silence. This is the true meaning of watching and praying. To watch is to observe your inner talking. To pray is to direct that talking toward your desire. You are always praying because you are always talking. The question is, what are you praying for? Are you praying for disaster by dwelling on fear? Or are you praying for triumph by dwelling on success? You must become a conscious director of your internal drama. Do not let the actors your thoughts run wild. Give them a script. Tell them what to say. Make sure the script is one of dignity, beauty, and fulfillment. Your mental diet determines your spiritual health, just as your physical diet determines your physical health. If you feed on gossip, tragedy, and criticism, your mind becomes sick and your world becomes chaotic. But if you feed on noble thoughts, on ideas of growth and harmony, your mind becomes strong and your world becomes orderly. You must be selective. You must be elitist about what you allow into your mind. Do not let just any thought enter your inner sanctum. If a thought is not conducive to your goal, dismiss it. Show it the door. You are the master of the house. There is a mystical power in the sound of your inner voice. It vibrates through the universe. When you say, I am, you are vibrating the creative power of the cosmos. Whatever you attach to I am becomes your fate. If you say, I am tired, I am sick, I am unlucky, you are signing a contract with those conditions. You must stop identifying with the things you do not want. You must stop claiming them in your inner conversations. Instead, claim what you want. Even if it is not yet true to the senses, claim it. I am strong. I am wealthy. I am blessed. I am chosen. Say it until you believe it. Say it until it echoes in the marrow of your bones. The transformation of your life begins with the transformation of your inner speech. You cannot change the outside without changing the inside. You can change your clothes, your address, and your friends, but if you take your negative inner chatter with you, you will recreate the same old mess. But if you change your inner speech, you can stay where you are, and the world will change around you. The slum will become a palace. The enemy will become a friend. The sickness will become health. This is the alchemy of the mind. It turns the lead of negative thoughts into the gold of manifested desires. So, I invite you to start a challenge today. For the next 7 days, commit to a strict mental diet. Watch your inner conversations like a hawk. Every time you catch yourself being negative, stop and revise it. Rewrite the script on the spot. It will be exhausting at first. You will realize how addicted you are to negativity. But do not give up. Each time you correct your inner speech, you are breaking a link in the chain of your bondage. You are building a new momentum. By the end of the week, you will feel a shift. You will feel lighter. You will see little miracles popping up in your day. This is the evidence that the tide is turning. Your inner conversation is the bridge between the spiritual and the physical. It is how you bring heaven down to earth. Do not use this power to create hell. Use it to create the life you were meant to live. Speak to yourself as you would speak to a king or a queen. Speak to yourself with love, with respect, with high expectation. Your self-talk is the prophecy of your future. Make it a good prophecy. Make it a prophecy of victory. The world is listening. The universe is waiting. What will you say to yourself in the silence of this moment? That whisper is your destiny. Choose your words wisely, for you are creating your world with every syllable you speak in the secret cathedral of your mind. We have now reached the precipice of the greatest challenge and the greatest liberation in the process of creating your reality. We have spoken of the power of assumption, the discipline of inner speech, and the reality of the imagination. But even after accepting these truths, the rational mind often stumbles over one stubborn, persistent obstacle, which is the obsession with the how. The human ego is addicted to control. It wants to know the exact path, the precise steps, and the specific timeline of how a desire will manifest. It demands a logical roadmap before it is willing to embark on the journey. But I tell you now that to truly walk in the power of your own wonderful human imagination, you must completely and utterly release the how. You must surrender the means to the depth of your own being, for the how is not your department. Your responsibility is the what. The responsibility of the greater self within you is the how. When you obsess over how your desire will come to pass, you are inadvertently blocking it. The insistence on knowing the way is a form of doubt. It is a signal that you do not trust the creative power to deliver. You are essentially saying to the universe that you will only believe it if you can logically deduce the path. But the ways of the spirit are higher than the ways of man. The creative power of your subconscious has ways and means that you know not of. It has access to infinite possibilities, connections, and orchestrations that your conscious mind could never conceive. By trying to force a specific path, you limit the infinite to the tiny bandwidth of your own past experiences and logical deductions. You are trying to squeeze the ocean into a thimble. To release the how is to enter into a state of profound trust, known as the bridge of incidence. This is a crucial concept to grasp. Between where you are now physically and where you are in your imagination, there is a gap. The bridge of incidence is the series of events, encounters, and circumstances that will carry you across that gap. You do not build this bridge, you do not design it. It is woven automatically by your subconscious the moment you accept the end. You walk across it, often without even knowing you are on it. This bridge may be composed of events that seem natural, coincidental, or even accidental. You might bump into an old friend who offers you an opportunity. You might get fired from a job only to be forced into the career of your dreams. You might miss a train only to meet the love of your life on the next platform. This is why you cannot judge appearances. If you have assumed the feeling of success and suddenly you face a setback, do not panic. Do not abandon your assumption. That setback may be the very first plank in the bridge of incidents leading you to your goal. The rational mind judges it as bad, but the spiritual mind knows it is necessary movement. The universe moves in a non-linear fashion. It does not always go in a straight line from A to B. Sometimes it zigs and zags to bypass obstacles you didn't even know were there. If you insist on controlling the how, you will look at the zig and think you are failing, and in your fear, you will step off the bridge. But if you trust the bridge, you will move with the current of life, knowing that every stream leads eventually to the ocean of your fulfilled desire. Surrender, in this context, is not a passive act of giving up. It is not resignation. It is an active, powerful, spiritual stance. It is the act of giving over the heavy lifting to a power that is stronger than your physical muscles. Imagine you are holding a heavy stone. Surrender is not dropping the stone on your foot. It is placing the stone on a conveyor belt that is moving toward your destination. You still have the intention of the stone reaching the end, but you are no longer carrying the weight of it. This surrender brings a peace that passes all understanding. It frees you from the sleepless nights of strategizing and manipulating. It allows you to live in the present moment, knowing that the future has already been secured by your act of assumption. Many people fear that if they release the how, they will become lazy or inactive. This is a misunderstanding of the difference between forced action and inspired action. When you try to control the how, you act out of fear, desperation, and lack. You hustle, you grind, you force doors open that were meant to stay shut. This type of action is exhausting and rarely yields sustainable results. It is swimming upstream against the current of life. But when you surrender the how and live in the end, you will still act, but your action will be different. It will be inspired action. You will feel a compulsion to do something. You will have a sudden idea to call someone. You will feel an urge to go to a specific place. Inspired action feels like flow. It feels effortless. It is like swimming downstream. The current carries you and your strokes simply steer you. You are not forcing the manifestation. You are allowing the manifestation to move you. You become an instrument of your own fulfillment. The bridge of incidents will compel you to act. You will not be able to sit still when the time is right, but the anxiety will be gone. The desperation will be replaced by a sense of adventure. You will wake up each day wondering, I wonder how the universe will surprise me today. I wonder what amazing turn of events will bring my desire to me. This turns life from a struggle into a game of joyful discovery. The need to control the how is rooted in the illusion of separation. We believe we are separate from our good, so we must build a ladder to reach it. But if you understand that you are the operant power, and that your consciousness is the only reality, then there is no separation. You and your desire are one. If you are one with it in consciousness, it must be drawn to you in form. The law of attraction is actually the law of projection. You project your inner state onto the screen of space. You do not need to worry about how the projector works or how the light hits the screen. You only need to worry about the film you are putting in the machine. The film is your assumption. The projection is the bridge of incidents. Let us consider the analogy of planting a seed. When you plant an acorn, you do not need to know how the acorn becomes an oak tree. You do not need to understand the complex biology of photosynthesis or root systems. You simply plant it in the dark soil and trust the nature of the seed. You do not dig it up every morning to check if it has roots. If you do, you kill it. You leave it alone. You water it with faith, but you surrender the mechanics of growth to the soil. Your desire is the seed. Your subconscious is the soil. The how is the secret process of germination that takes place in the dark, unseen by the human eye. Trust the darkness. Trust the silence. Just because you cannot see the change happening on the surface does not mean the massive reorganization of your life is not happening underneath. There is a timing to the bridge of incidents that you must respect. Each seed has its own appointed hour. A bamboo seed lies dormant for 5 years and then shoots up 90 feet in 6 weeks. A pregnancy takes 9 months. A desire also has a gestation period. The anxiety about how and when usually comes from a lack of patience, which is a lack of faith. If you knew, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that you had inherited $1 billion and it would be available to you in 1 year, would you spend that year worrying? No. You would spend that year planning, enjoying, and resting in the security of your future. You would not worry about how the bank transfers the money. You would just wait for the date. Treat your assumption with the same certainty. It has an appointed hour. It will not be late. Releasing the how requires you to become comfortable with the unknown. We are taught to fear the unknown, to view uncertainty as a threat. But in the world of creation, the unknown is where the magic lies. The unknown is the field of infinite potential. If you only allow what you know, you will only recreate your past. If you want something new, something you have never experienced before, it must come from the unknown. It must come in a way you cannot predict. Embrace the mystery. Be willing to be surprised. Be willing to let your life look messy for a moment while the universe rearranges the furniture. When you surrender the how, you stop looking for signs and start looking at the end. You stop asking, is this working? And start saying it is done. You stop analyzing every conversation and every email to see if it is the one. You simply rest in the conviction that what is yours cannot miss you. What belongs to you will find you, even if you are hiding under a rock. The people necessary for your promotion will be compelled to find you. The resources necessary for your health will appear. The love you seek will cross your path, not because you manipulated it, but because you vibrated it. So, I invite you to take a deep breath and let go of the tight grip you have on the steering wheel of your life. You are not the only driver. There is a greater intelligence driving with you. Hand over the map. Hand over the GPS. Tell this greater intelligence your destination clearly, feelingly, and vividly. And then sit back and enjoy the ride. Watch the scenery of the bridge of incidents unfold. Some days the road will be smooth, some days it will be rocky. But every mile is bringing you closer. Do not curse the detour. The detour might be saving you from a cliff. Do not curse the delay. The delay might be ensuring you arrive at the exact perfect second to meet your destiny. Trust the orchestration. You are being led by a wisdom that sees the end from the beginning. Your logical mind only sees the next 3 feet. Why would you trust the limited view of the logical mind over the panoramic view of the infinite self? The art of surrender is the ultimate act of power. It takes more strength to trust than it does to worry. It takes more courage to let go than it does to control. Be brave enough to let the universe do its job. Be brave enough to focus entirely on your inner state and let the outer world take care of itself. As you release the how, you release the resistance. And when the resistance is gone, the floodgates open. Your desire rushes toward you with the same intensity that you rush toward it. The meeting is inevitable. The bridge is built. The path is clear. Walk it with faith, walk it with joy, and let the miracle of the how unfold in all its glory. We have spoken of the great surrender, of releasing the mechanical, how to the wisdom of the universe. But do not mistake surrender for passivity. While you are floating on the river of the bridge of incidents, you are still the captain of your soul, and you are faced with a relentless stream of decisions. This brings us to a concept that will fundamentally alter the way you navigate your daily existence. You must begin to view every choice you make, no matter how trivial it seems, as an investment. In this physical world, we are obsessed with financial investments. We study the stock market, we worry about interest rates, and we guard our bank accounts. Yet, we are often recklessly wasteful with the 2 most valuable currencies we possess, which are our time and our attention. Time is the raw material of life. It is the unpainted canvas upon which you etch your destiny. Energy is the paint. Every single day, you are given a fresh supply of these resources. You cannot save them for later. You must spend them. The question is not whether you will spend them, but how. Most people spend their time and energy like a drunkard spends money, carelessly, impulsively, and with no thought for the future. They spend their mental coin on gossip, on outrage, on mindless entertainment, and on reliving past hurts. Then they wonder why they are spiritually bankrupt. They wonder why their reality is a reflection of chaos. To become the master of your life, you must become a shrewd investor of your consciousness. Understand that every decision is a transaction. When you choose to engage in an argument on social media, you are paying for that interaction. You are paying with your peace of mind. You are paying with your focus. You are paying with the creative energy that could have been used to build your dream. Is the return on that investment worth the cost? Does proving a stranger wrong enrich your life? Does it move you closer to your vision? If the answer is no, then it is a bad investment. You must learn to walk away from bad investments immediately. You must learn to view your attention as a precious beam of light. Whatever you shine that light upon, you give life to. If you shine it on negativity, you are investing in negativity, and it will grow in your garden and choke your harvest. This perspective shifts the paradigm of discipline. We often view discipline as punishment or restriction. But when you view choice as an investment, discipline becomes an act of self-love. It becomes the wisdom to say no to the good so you can say yes to the great. Consider the student who chooses to study while his friends are partying. In the moment, it feels like a sacrifice. He is missing out on immediate gratification. But he is investing his time in his future self. He is buying knowledge, discipline, and opportunity. The return on that investment will pay dividends for decades. Conversely, the choice to pursue immediate pleasure at the expense of long-term goals is a form of theft. You are stealing from your future self to satisfy a momentary impulse. This principle applies profoundly to your relationships. The people you surround yourself with are not just companions. They are environmental influences that shape your state of being. Every conversation is an exchange of energy. Some people replenish you, they inspire you, challenge you, and help you hold the vision of your higher self. Investing time in these relationships yields a high return of joy and growth. Other people drain you. They feed on drama. They anchor you in your past mistakes, and they vibrate at the frequency of victimhood. Spending time with them is a sunken cost. It depletes your emotional reserves. You must have the courage to audit your relational portfolio. You must ask yourself if the people in your life are appreciating assets or depreciating liabilities in terms of your spiritual growth. This sounds cold, but it is necessary. You cannot afford to invest your life force in dynamics that keep you small. Let us look at the financial aspect of this truth, for money is simply energy in physical form. Every dollar you spend is a vote for the kind of world you want to live in and the kind of person you want to be. When you spend money on things that nourish your body, expand your mind, or beautify your environment, you are investing in your own well-being. You are telling the universe, I am worthy of quality. But when you spend money mindlessly to fill an emotional void, or to impress people you do not like, you are investing in insecurity. You are feeding the lack. The wealthy mindset is not just about accumulation, it is about allocation. It is about directing resources toward growth rather than waste. Whether you have little or much, the habit of intentional spending creates a vacuum for abundance to enter. But the deepest investment is the investment in your own mind. We live in the information age, which is really the age of distraction. Your attention is the most sought-after commodity on earth. Corporations, media outlets, and advertisers spend billions of dollars trying to hijack your focus. If you do not guard your attention, they will spend it for you. They will keep you in a state of fear, inadequacy, and desire so that you remain a compliant consumer. To invest in yourself means to reclaim your attention. It means choosing to read a book that expands your consciousness instead of scrolling through an infinite feed of triviality. It means choosing 10 minutes of silence and visualization instead of 10 minutes of watching the news. When you practice the law of assumption, you are essentially an investor in invisible realities. You are taking your attention away from the visible facts of the world, which say you are poor or sick, and you are investing it in the invisible assumption that you are wealthy and whole. The world calls this foolishness. The world says, show me the evidence. But the wise investor knows that the evidence comes after the investment, not before. You do not get the interest payment before you put the money in the bank. You must deposit your faith, your feeling, and your focus into the unseen reality first. You must hold that investment when the market looks bad. You must hold it when everyone else is selling out to fear. That is how spiritual wealth is accumulated. This brings us to the concept of opportunity cost. In economics, this means that for every choice you make, you are foregoing every other possible choice. If you choose to spend an hour complaining, that is an hour you cannot spend creating. If you choose to hold a grudge, you cannot simultaneously hold space for love. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot walk in two directions at once. Every time you say yes to something small and insignificant, you are automatically saying no to something large and magnificent. You must become ruthless with your yes. You must treat your time as if it were costing you $1,000 a minute. If you viewed it that way, would you engage in that petty argument? Would you worry about that rumor? No. You would focus only on what matters. Living this way requires a high degree of mindfulness. It demands that you wake up from the sleepwalking state of habit. Most of our choices are automatic. We reach for the phone, the cigarette, or the junk food without a conscious thought. We react to criticism with defensiveness without a pause. To turn choice into investment, you must insert a pause between the stimulus and the response. In that pause lies your freedom. In that pause you can ask, is this reaction an investment in the person I want to be? If the answer is no, you have the power to choose a different response. You can choose silence instead of anger. You can choose understanding instead of judgment. You can choose faith instead of fear. Consider the compounding effect of these choices. One healthy meal does not make you fit, and one session of visualization does not manifest a kingdom. It is the accumulation of choices over time that creates the massive shift. A small investment of 10 minutes of focused imagination every day adds up to 60 hours of creation in a year. That is enough to rewrite your entire subconscious programming. Conversely, 10 minutes of worry every day adds up to 60 hours of programming your mind for failure. The trajectory of your life is determined by the compound interest of your daily habits. You are building a masterpiece or a disaster, one brushstroke, one choice at a time. There is a concept in the ancient texts about the pearl of great price. The merchant finds a pearl of such immense value that he sells everything he has to buy it. This is the ultimate investment metaphor. The pearl is your awakened imagination. It is the life of your dreams. To buy it, you must sell everything. You must sell your old beliefs, your old victim stories, your old habits of wasting time, and your old need for external validation. You must cash in all those limited ways of being to afford the new life. It costs everything, but the return is infinite. You are trading a life of mediocrity for a life of sovereignty. As you move through your day to day, I challenge you to view yourself as a banker of energy. You have a finite budget of emotional and mental coins. When a situation arises that threatens to disturb your peace, ask yourself, can I afford this? When a distraction presents itself, ask, is this in my budget? You will find that you become very stingy with negativity. You will become protective of your joy. You will stop giving discounts to people who do not value your time. You will begin to carry yourself with the dignity of someone who knows their own worth. Ultimately, the goal of treating choice as an investment is to reach a state of alignment where your external actions match your internal assumptions. When you are living in the end, your choices naturally align with that end. You do not have to force yourself to make good investments. You make them because you value yourself. You eat better because you respect the temple of the person you have become. You work smarter because you value your contribution. You love deeper because you know you have an infinite supply. The past is a canceled check. You cannot spend it. The future is a promissory note. You cannot bank on it yet. The present is the only cash you have. Spend it wisely. Invest it in love. Invest it in beauty. Invest it in your own expansion. Every moment is a crossroads, a chance to pivot from the path of the sleeper to the path of the awakened. Choose the higher road. It may be steeper, it may require more effort in the beginning, but the view from the top is worth every ounce of energy you invest. You are the architect, the investor, and the builder of your fate. Build something that will stand the test of time. Build a life that acts as a monument to the power of wise, intentional choice. We have traveled a great distance in this lecture. We have awakened to the message within. We have learned to ignore the mirror of reality. We have impressed the subconscious with feeling, and we have learned to invest our choices wisely. Now all of these paths converge at a single point of truth. To live the life you desire, you cannot merely be a student of these laws, you must become the master of them. You must step into the role of the operant power. This phrase, operant power, is not just a title. It is a declaration of function. It means that the power of creation does not operate on its own. It waits for you to operate it. It waits for your hand to turn the wheel. It waits for your voice to give the command. Self-mastery is the realization that you are not a cork bobbing helplessly on the ocean of fate, but that you are the ocean, the ship, and the captain all at once. The journey to self-mastery begins with the complete and total abandonment of the victim mentality. This is the hardest step for many because the victim mentality offers a seductive comfort. It allows us to blame our parents, our government, our economy, or our past for our current condition. As long as we can blame something outside of ourselves, we are absolved of responsibility. But as long as we blame, we are powerless. You cannot be both a victim and a master. You must choose. The master understands that everything in their world is a reflection of their own consciousness. Therefore, if there is chaos outside, there is chaos inside. If there is lack outside, there is a poverty of spirit inside. The master does not look at a flat tire or a broken relationship and ask, "Why is this happening to me?" The master asks, "What did I do in my imagination to cause this?" and then sets about the business of revising it. To become the operant power is to reclaim your sovereignty from the opinions of others. We live in a world that is addicted to external validation. From the time we are children, we are trained to perform for applause. We seek the gold star from the teacher, the approval of the parent, the promotion from the boss, and the likes on social media. We construct our entire identity based on how well we fit into the boxes others have built for us. But this is slavery. If your self-worth depends on the validation of others, then your self-worth can be taken away by their disapproval. You are building your house on the sand. Self-mastery is the act of moving your foundation to the solid rock of your own I am. It is reaching a state where you are so anchored in your own value that praise does not elevate you and criticism does not crush you. You simply are. This kind of mastery requires you to become the eye of the storm. Life will swirl around you. Circumstances will change. Markets will crash and rise. People will come and go. The person who lacks mastery is tossed about by these winds. They are happy when the sun shines and depressed when the rain falls. They are reactive machines. But the master is the stillness in the center. The master observes the storm but does not become the storm. You must develop an inner sanctuary, a place of peace within yourself that is untouchable by external events. When the world screams panic, you retreat into this sanctuary and consult your own imagination. You decide what the truth is, regardless of what the news says. You impose your order upon the chaos through the stability of your own mind. Self-mastery also involves the rigorous discipline of your attention. We spoke of attention as currency, but now we speak of it as the helm of the ship. Your attention is the only thing you truly possess. Where your attention goes, your life follows. The weak mind lets its attention drift to whatever is loud, shiny, or frightening. It is like a leaf blowing in the wind. The master holds their attention like a laser beam. They keep their eyes on the prize of the wish fulfilled, even when the physical world is showing them the opposite. This is the definition of strength. Strength is not physical muscle. Strength is the ability to hold a thought of success when everyone around you is talking about failure. Strength is the ability to feel loved when you are sitting alone in an empty room. This is the workout of the spirit. When you become the operant power, you stop waiting for permission. Many people spend their entire lives waiting to be chosen. They wait to be chosen for the job, chosen by a partner, chosen for an opportunity. They stand in line, hoping someone will notice them. The master chooses themselves. You do not wait for the world to crown you. You place the crown upon your own head in the silence of your imagination. You assume the feeling of being the one, and because the world is a mirror, it has no choice but to reflect that choice back to you. The world will treat you exactly as you treat yourself. If you walk with your head down, hoping not to be seen, the world will ignore you. If you walk with the internal posture of royalty, the world will part the way for you. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. Self-mastery is also the conquest of your own lower nature. We all have that voice inside that whispers fear, laziness, and doubt. It is the voice of the old man, the old self that wants to keep us safe and small. Mastery is not silencing this voice forever, for it may always be there, but it is refusing to obey it. When the old self says, "It is too hard, let's quit," the master says, "We are moving forward." When the old self says, "You are not good enough," the master says, "I am that I am." You must become the rider of the horse, not the horse itself. Your emotions and your body are the animal. Your consciousness is the rider. You must train the animal to go where you want it to go, not let it run wild into the ditch of despair. There is a profound freedom that comes with this level of responsibility. When you realize you are the cause of everything, you also realize you are the cure for everything. You are never stuck. You are never hopeless. If you created a mess, you can uncreate it. You can revise it. You can imagine a new solution. This realization eliminates the feeling of helplessness that plagues so many. You know that no matter how deep the hole is, you have the ladder of imagination in your pocket. You can climb out of anything. You can transcend any limitation. The power that created the universe is housed within your own skull. How can you be afraid when you know this truth? However, becoming the operant power forces you to confront your own shadow. You can no longer hide from your own creations. If you are surrounded by angry people, you must admit that you have been harboring anger. If you are surrounded by dishonesty, you must admit where you have been untruthful with yourself. This requires a brutal and beautiful honesty. It is a cleansing fire. You must be willing to look at your life and say, I did this. But you say it without shame. You say it with the recognition of your power. I did this unknowingly, so now I will unknowingly do something better. Shame is a useless emotion for the master. Shame keeps you in the past. Mastery is always focused on the present moment of creation. Self-mastery is not a destination. It is a practice. It is a daily recommitment to your own divinity. You will fall. You will have moments where you react, where you get angry, where you forget who you are. Do not beat yourself up. That is the old way. Simply pick yourself up, dust off your knees, and get back on the throne. The master is not the one who never falls. The master is the one who never stays down. The master is the one who knows how to return to the state of the wish fulfilled faster and faster each time. As you grow in this power, you will notice a change in how you interact with others. You will become less needy. You will not need people to agree with you to feel right. You will not need people to love you to feel lovable. You will enjoy people. You will love people, but you will not be dependent on them. This paradoxically makes you more attractive to others. People are drawn to those who are self-sourced. They are drawn to the light of someone who knows who they are. You become a lighthouse. You do not run around the shore looking for boats to save. You just stand there and shine, and the boats find their way to you. Ultimately, becoming the operant power is about integration. It is about integrating your conscious desires with your subconscious beliefs. It is about closing the gap between who you want to be and who you believe you are. When these two become one, when your desire and your belief are married, you become unstoppable. You speak, and the world listens. You imagine, and the world forms. You are no longer fighting the current. You are the water, you are the flow, you are the force that shapes the canyon. So, I invite you to take the scepter of your own life. Stop handing it to the news anchor. Stop handing it to your boss. Stop handing it to your past trauma. Take it back. It is heavy, yes, because it carries the weight of responsibility. But it is also made of pure gold. It is the key to your freedom. Stand up inside yourself. Feel the spine of your spiritual body straighten. Look at your world not as a prison, but as a playground, a canvas, a stage. You have written the script this far, and you have the power to rewrite the next act. Make it a tragedy no longer. Make it a triumph. Make it a story of a soul who woke up and remembered they were a king. This is the essence of self-mastery. It is the shift from I hope to I know. It is the shift from please give me to I thank you that I have. It is the shift from fear to faith. You are the operant power. The machine of reality is waiting for your touch. Do not be afraid to turn it on. Do not be afraid to drive it toward your highest ideal. You were born for this. You are here for this. Now, operate your power. We have established that you are the operant power and the master of your own destiny. You have learned to discipline your attention and choose your investments wisely. Now we must address a vital law of preservation that ensures your creations survive the gestation period. This is the law of silence. In an age of radical oversharing, where every meal, every thought, and every plan is broadcast to the world for immediate consumption, the ancient art of mystery has been lost. We have forgotten that power leaks when it is exposed. We have forgotten that true transformation happens in the dark. To fully harness the power of your imagination, you must learn to keep your visions silent. You must learn the strength of the Hermetic seal. There is a profound spiritual reason why the great teachers of the past, after performing a miracle or sharing a revelation, would often command their students to go and tell no man. This was not because they wanted to be secretive for the sake of elitism. It was because they understood the fragile nature of a new creation. When you first conceive a desire in your imagination, it is like a seed that has just been planted in the soil. It is alive, but it is tender. It has not yet broken through the surface. It needs the warmth and the darkness of the soil to germinate. If you were to dig up a seed every few hours to show it to your neighbors and prove that you are a gardener, you would kill the seed. It would dry up and die from exposure to the elements before it ever had a chance to take root. Your dreams are no different. When you have a great vision for your life, a new business idea, a desire for a specific relationship, or a goal for physical transformation, the urge to tell others is overwhelming. We want the dopamine hit of their validation. We want them to congratulate us on our intent before we have even taken the first step. But this is a trap. When you scatter your energy by talking about your plans, you are releasing the pressure that is required to manifest them. Think of a steam engine. The steam must be contained within the boiler to build up enough pressure to turn the heavy wheels of the locomotive. If you open the valves and let the steam whistle out into the air, you might make a lot of noise and people might look at you, but the wheels will not turn. You have traded power for attention. Keeping your vision silent creates what alchemists call the hermetic seal. It keeps the energy contained within your own consciousness. When you have a burning desire and you do not speak of it to others, that desire builds up inside you. It becomes a holy fire. It intensifies your focus. It compels you to take action because the energy has nowhere else to go. It must express itself in performance because it was not allowed to express itself in mere words. The person who talks about what they are going to do is rarely the person who does it. The person who does it is usually too busy doing it to talk about it. Silence conserves your spiritual fuel for the journey ahead. Furthermore, sharing your vision prematurely exposes you to the doubt and limitation of others. You must remember that everyone is you pushed out, reflecting your own consciousness back to you. However, until your belief is hardened into a fact, you are susceptible to the doubts of others, because you still have doubts within yourself. If you tell your big dream to a friend who lives in a state of smallness, they will unconsciously try to pull you back down to their level. They will ask you realistic questions that you cannot answer. They will point out the risks. They will remind you of your past failures. They are not doing this to be malicious. They are doing it because your expansion threatens their comfort zone. But their words act like frost on your tender bud. You walk away from the conversation feeling deflated. You start to question if you are crazy. You start to analyze the how, which we have already learned is a trap. You must protect your dream from the birds of prey. These birds are the cynical opinions of the world. By keeping your counsel, you protect your vision until it is strong enough to defend itself. There will come a time when your result is so obvious that you won't need to say a word. The result will speak for itself. Until then, let the silence be your shield. Do not cast your pearls before those who do not understand their value. Your vision is a pearl. It is precious. It is sacred. It belongs to you and the God within you. It does not belong on the dinner table of public opinion. There is also a deep psychological power in mystery. We are naturally drawn to what we cannot fully understand. We respect those who do not feel the need to explain themselves. When you are constantly explaining your plans, justifying your choices, and seeking approval, you are signaling a lack of confidence. You are signaling that you need the external world to agree with you before you can proceed. But the master does not need agreement. The master moves in silence. This creates an aura of authority. People sense that you are up to something, that you are moving to a rhythm they cannot hear. This makes you magnetic. They lean in, they want to know your secret, but you do not give it away cheaply. You hold your energy, and in doing so you command respect. Consider the womb. It is the ultimate workshop of creation. Life begins in the deep, silent, secret darkness of the womb. The child is knitted together in secret. If the womb were transparent and open to the world, life could not sustain itself. Your imagination is the womb of your reality. You must honor the gestation period. You must be willing to carry your dream in secret, nurturing it with your own faith and feeling, without needing to show it to the world before it is ready to be born. This period of silent incubation is not empty time. It is the most active time of all. It is when the blueprint is being hardened into physical reality. When you practice the discipline of silence, you also sharpen your own intuition. When you stop looking for feedback from others, you are forced to listen to the feedback from within. You become more attuned to the whispers of your own guidance. You learn to trust your gut because you are no longer drowning it out with the cacophony of other people's advice. You realize that you have a direct line to the source of all wisdom and that you do not need a committee to validate your destiny. A committee never painted a masterpiece. A committee never wrote a symphony. Great things are born in the solitude of a single mind connected to the infinite. This does not mean you must lie or be antisocial. It simply means you become selective. You learn to discern who is safe and who is not. There may be one or two people in your life who are operating on the same frequency, who can hold the vision with you. If you find such a partner, cherish them, for they are rare. But for the vast majority of the world, your vision should remain a mystery until it becomes a fact. Let them see the finished building. Do not show them the messy construction site. They will not understand the chaos of the construction. They will judge the holes in the ground. Wait until the structure is standing tall and firm. There is a magical quality to the secret. When you carry a secret ambition, it adds a sparkle to your eye and a spring to your step. You walk through the world knowing something the world does not yet know. You know that you are not who you appear to be. You may appear to be a simple employee, but in your silence, you know you are the owner of a vast empire that is currently making its way to you. This secret knowledge changes your vibration. You stop reacting to the petty annoyances of your current state because you know it is temporary. You treat your current circumstances with a detached amusement because you have seen the end. The secret keeps you anchored in the wish fulfilled. Let us be practical about how to apply this. The next time you have a flash of inspiration or a deep desire, resist the urge to pick up the phone. Resist the urge to post it on social media. Instead, take that energy and invest it in a session of visualization. Write it down in a private journal. Turn the urge to speak into the urge to imagine. Feel the pressure build up inside you. It might feel uncomfortable, like you are going to burst. Let it build. That pressure is the fuel. Use it to deepen your feeling of the wish fulfilled. Use it to take an inspired action. Let the energy propel you forward, not outward. By keeping your vision silent, you also avoid the trap of accountability to the wrong people. Sometimes we tell people our goals because we think it will keep us accountable. But often, it just creates anxiety. We start worrying about what they will think if we fail or if it takes longer than expected. We start performing for them instead of creating for ourselves. When you keep it silent, your only accountability is to your own soul and the divine power within. This is the highest form of integrity. You are doing it because it is true to you, not because you are afraid of looking bad in front of others. The power of mystery is the power of the unseen. We are told to walk by faith, not by sight. The world worships the seen, but the Creator worships the unseen. By keeping your vision in the unseen realm, you are honoring the spiritual nature of your reality. You are affirming that the invisible is more real than the visible. You are living from the inside out. This baffles the world. They will look at you and wonder where your confidence comes from. They will wonder how you achieve so much with so little fanfare. They will call you lucky, but you will know the truth. You will know that you respected the law of silence. You nurtured the seed in the dark. You protected the flame from the wind. So, dare to be the person with a secret. Dare to walk among the crowds with a kingdom in your heart that no one can see. Let your results be your noise. Let your life be your testimony. Until then, guard the gate of your lips. Treasure your vision in your heart as Mary treasured the prophecy. Be the quiet master who knows that the loudest power is the one that makes no sound. Your silence is not emptiness. It is a fullness so vast that words cannot contain it. It is the silence of the night sky before the dawn. It is the silence of the arrow flying toward the mark. Keep your vision silent and let the universe shout your victory when the time is right. We have spoken at length about the creative power of your imagination and the necessity of keeping your vision silent. But there is another aspect of mastery that is equally critical, one that serves as the defense system for your entire reality. You must learn to guard the gate of your mind. Your consciousness is not a public square where anyone is free to walk in and leave their trash. Your consciousness is a temple. It is a holy of holies where the act of creation takes place. Yet, most people live with the doors of this temple flung wide open. They allow every passerby, every news headline, every doom scroller, and every cynic to enter and desecrate the altar of their imagination. If you wish to be the master of your fate, this promiscuity of the mind must end today. You must appoint a sentinel at the doorway of your senses. You must become a ruthless guardian of what you allow to enter and take root in your soul. To understand why this is so vital, you must return to the nature of the subconscious. As we have established, the subconscious is impersonal and non-selective. It does not joke. It does not distinguish between a fact and a fiction, nor does it distinguish between a suggestion you chose and a suggestion you passively accepted from the television. It takes everything as a command. When you sit in front of the news for an hour and absorb stories of economic collapse, disease, and war, you are not merely being informed. You are being programmed. You are allowing seeds of fear to be planted in the garden of your mind. These seeds will grow. They will manifest in your life as anxiety, as limitation, as a belief that the world is unsafe and resources are scarce. You then look at your life and wonder why you are struggling, never realizing that you invited the struggle in through the open door of your attention. Guarding the gate means understanding that your attention is your life force. Whatever you attend to, you become. In this modern age, we are under a constant siege of weaponized distraction. There is an entire economy built on hijacking your attention and selling it to the highest bidder. The algorithms of social media, the 24-hour news cycle, and the culture of outrage are all designed to keep you in a state of fear and reaction. They want you to look outside, to worry, to compare, and to feel inadequate. If they can control your attention, they can control your reality. The moment you react emotionally to a piece of negative information, you have signed a contract with it. You have agreed to let it become a part of your world. The master refuses to sign that contract. The master looks at the noise and says, "This is not my reality. I do not accept this." This discipline extends far beyond media consumption. It applies to the people you interact with every day. We all have people in our lives who are committed to mediocrity, who are addicted to complaining, or who thrive on drama. When you engage with them without a guard at the gate, their limitations become your limitations. If a friend tells you that relationships are hard or money is the root of all evil, and you listen and nod in agreement, you have just accepted a limitation. You have allowed a weed to be planted among your roses. You must learn to listen without accepting. You must learn the art of inner rejection. While you may smile and be polite outwardly, inwardly you must be shouting no. You must whisper to yourself, "That may be true for you, but it is not true for me. My world is a world of abundance and harmony." You must become an elitist about your thoughts. We are very careful about what we put into our stomachs. We read nutrition labels, we avoid toxins, we drink filtered water, yet we let any toxic concept enter our minds without a second thought. This is madness. A toxic thought is far more dangerous than a toxic meal. The body can eliminate a bad meal in 24 hours, but a toxic thought can linger for a lifetime, poisoning your potential and sabotaging your dreams. You must treat your mind with the same care that you treat a newborn baby. You would not let a stranger cough on your baby. Do not let the world cough its fears onto your imagination. Guarding the gate requires a heightened state of awareness. You cannot be asleep at the wheel. You must practice what is called uncritical observation. This means you observe the world, but you do not uncritically accept its verdict. When the world says there is a recession, you observe that this is the collective belief, but you do not accept it as your personal truth. You declare, "In my world, there is prosperity." When the doctor says, "This condition is chronic," You observe his opinion, but you do not accept it as a final sentence. You go within and imagine health. This takes courage. It takes the courage to stand alone in your own conviction when the whole world is running in the opposite direction. But this is the price of freedom. There is a concept in engineering called garbage in, garbage out. If you input bad code into a computer, you will get a bad program. Your life is the output. Your mental diet is the input. If you want a life of peace, you cannot consume a diet of chaos. If you want a life of love, you cannot consume a diet of judgment. You must curate your environment. Look at the books you read, the music you listen to, the accounts you follow online. Do they uplift you? Do they expand your imagination? Do they remind you of your power? Or do they make you feel small, angry, and helpless? You have the power to unfollow. You have the power to turn it off. You have the power to walk away. This is not ignorance. This is strategic protection of your creative asset. When you guard the gate, you create a sanctuary within. This sanctuary is necessary for the gestation of your desires. We spoke of the silence required for the seed to grow. That silence is impossible if your mind is a marketplace of noise. By shutting out the external cacophony, you create a quiet space where the voice of your intuition can be heard. You create a clear channel for the divine to speak to you. The universe is always broadcasting solutions, inspirations, and guidance. But if your internal radio is tuned to the static of the world, you will miss the music. You must tune out the world to tune in to the self. This practice also protects you from the mass mind. There is a collective consciousness that is largely asleep, driven by herd mentality and base survival instincts. It is a current that pulls everyone toward the average, toward the common struggle. To be a creator, you must swim against this current. You must be in the world, but not of it. When you guard the gate, you insulate yourself from the mass hysteria. You become a pillar of stability. Others will feel this stability. They will be drawn to you because you are not vibrating with the same panic as everyone else. You become a leader not by force, but by the clarity of your presence. What happens when a negative thought slips past the guard? It will happen. You are human. You might see something disturbing or hear a discouraging word and feel a spike of fear. Do not condemn yourself. Simply recognize it immediately. Say to yourself, I see you, but I do not serve you. Then, immediately revise it. Use the pruning shears of revision to snip that weed before it takes root. Imagine the situation resolving peacefully. Imagine the bad news turning into good news. Neutralize the poison before it can digest. Do not let the sun go down on your wrath or your fear. Clean your house every single night before you sleep. Ultimately, guarding the gate is an act of supreme self-love. It is saying that you value your peace more than you value being informed about every tragedy on earth. It is saying that you value your destiny more than you value fitting in with the complainers. It is an act of sovereignty. You are declaring that you are the only thinker in your universe. No one can think for you. No one can feel for you. Therefore, no one can create for you unless you allow them to influence your thoughts. When you close the door to external noise, you open the window to internal wisdom. As you become proficient at this, you will notice a dramatic shift in your energy levels. It takes a tremendous amount of energy to process negativity. It is exhausting to be constantly outraged and afraid. When you stop feeding that beast, you reclaim that energy. You will feel more vibrant, more creative, and more alive. You will have the stamina to persist in your assumptions. You will find that your manifestations speed up because there is less resistance blocking their path. The signal you send to the universe becomes clear and strong, unmixed with the static of doubt. I challenge you to try a news fast or a negativity fast. For 1 week, refuse to engage with anything that lowers your vibration. Tell your friends you are taking a break from heavy topics. Delete the apps that drain you. At first, you might feel a withdrawal symptom, a fear of missing out, but very quickly, that will be replaced by a profound sense of lightness. You will realize that you didn't miss anything real. The world kept spinning, but your world got better. You will realize that you are not responsible for carrying the weight of the world's problems in your mind. You are responsible for bringing the light of your own solved problems to the world. Your mind is a garden. You are the gardener. The external world is the wilderness full of weeds and thorns. If you leave the gate open, the wilderness will encroach upon your garden and turn it into a jungle. But if you stand guard, if you cultivate, if you protect, you can grow a paradise in the middle of a desert. You can be happy when others are sad. You can be rich when others are poor. You can be healthy when others are sick. This is not selfishness. This is the demonstration of the law. And by your demonstration, you show others that they too have a gate. They too have a garden. You become the evidence that we are not victims of the world, but masters of our perception of it. So, stand tall at the doorway of your consciousness. Put on the full armor of your selective attention. Let only the noble, the true, and the beautiful enter. Let your mind be a place where angels would feel at home. Be ruthless with the noise and generous with the silence. Protect your peace as if your life depended on it, because the life you desire absolutely does. The noise is just the echo of the past. Your guarded, focused mind is the womb of the future. Guard it well, and it will birth a masterpiece. We have now established the foundation of your power. You are the operant power, you are the guardian of your mind, and you have learned the art of silence. But now we must confront the harsh reality of the physical world. No matter how skilled you become at the law of assumption, you will inevitably encounter resistance. You will face moments where the world seems to say no to your desire. You will face what the unawakened mind calls failure, setbacks, and roadblocks. How you respond to these moments will determine whether you are a master of your destiny or a victim of your circumstances. It is time to radically redefine the nature of obstacles. We must strip away the fear that surrounds the word failure and see it for what it truly is, which is a necessary and vital part of the architecture of your success. An obstacle is not a stop sign. It is a stepping stone. It is not a tombstone where your dreams go to die, but a whetstone upon which your character is sharpened. To understand this, you must first accept that the bridge of incidents we spoke of earlier is not always paved with gold. It is often paved with challenges that force you to grow into the person capable of holding your desire. If you desire great wealth, but you currently have the mindset of scarcity, the universe may present you with a financial challenge not to punish you, but to force you to find the resources of ingenuity and resilience within yourself. The obstacle is not blocking the path. The obstacle is the path. It is the friction that creates the fire. Without the resistance of the air, the eagle cannot fly. Without the resistance of the water, the ship cannot float. Without the resistance of the weight, the muscle cannot grow. Therefore, do not curse the resistance, bless it, for it is the evidence that you are moving forward. The perception of failure is the greatest illusion of the human ego. The ego judges by appearances. It looks at a closed door and says, I have failed. But the spirit sees differently. The spirit knows that a closed door is often a redirection to a better entrance. When you are living in the end, when you are anchored in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, there is no such thing as failure. There is only feedback. There is only delay. There is only a temporary detour. If you do not get the job you wanted, the ego cries failure. But the awakened imagination knows that this job was denied because a better one is making its way to you, and you had to be available to receive it. If you accept the rejection as final, you crystallize it into a failure. But if you persist in your assumption, you transform the rejection into a divine redirection. We must dismantle the fear of making mistakes. We live in a culture that worships perfection and demonizes error. This paralyzes our ability to act. We are so afraid of looking foolish that we stand still. But you must understand that you cannot learn the laws of creation without experimentation. You are a scientist in the laboratory of life. Sometimes your experiments will yield unexpected results. That is not a reason to shut down the lab. It is a reason to analyze the data and adjust the formula. Every time you stumble, you learn something about your own beliefs. You discover where your faith was weak. You discover where you were still harboring doubts. The stumble is a diagnostic tool. It shows you exactly where your mental work needs to be done. Therefore, the obstacle is your teacher. It is revealing the hidden contents of your subconscious so that you can purify them. Consider the sculptor who stands before a block of marble. To create the masterpiece, he must strike the stone. Chunks of marble must fall away. If the marble could speak, it might scream in pain. It might say, "You are destroying me." But the sculptor knows he is not destroying. He is revealing. He is chipping away everything that is not the image. The obstacles in your life are the chisel. They are chipping away your pride, your impatience, your limiting beliefs, and your smallness. They are removing everything that is not the masterpiece you are destined to become. If you run from the chisel, you remain a block of unformed stone. If you embrace the process, you emerge as a work of art. This shift in perception requires a tremendous amount of mental discipline. When you are in the valley of the shadow, when the bills are piling up or the relationship is ending, every instinct in your body wants to react with fear. You want to panic. You want to beg. You want to give up. This is the crucible. This is the moment where the master is separated from the novice. The master stands in the middle of the wreckage and denies the finality of it. The master says, "This looks like a disaster, but I know the law. I know that my inner state determines my outer reality. Therefore, I will not accept this appearance as the end. I will persist in my assumption of victory." This defiance of appearances is the supreme act of faith. It is the ability to look at the dry bones of your life and prophesy life into them. We must also talk about the concept of the time lag in relation to failure. Sometimes, what we perceive as an obstacle is simply the time it takes for the seed to break through the soil. You do not plant a seed and see a flower instantly. There is a period of darkness. There is a period where it looks like nothing is happening. If you dig up the seed because you don't see the flower yet, you have failed. But if you trust the process, the failure of the empty soil is revealed to be simply the gestation of the harvest. Patience is not just waiting. Patience is the active maintenance of the feeling of the wish fulfilled while the bridge of incidents unfolds. Do not let the passage of time convince you that you have failed. The universe is never late. It is only your ego that is in a rush. Furthermore, obstacles often serve as a test of your commitment. How badly do you want your desire? Do you want it enough to walk through the fire for it? Do you want it enough to keep believing when everyone else thinks you are crazy? If you give up at the first sign of resistance, you are proving that your desire was merely a whim. It was a wish, not a burning command. The universe yields to the person who refuses to be denied. It yields to the person who treats an obstacle like a mirage, something to be walked through, not stopped by. When you demonstrate this level of persistence, you command the respect of the elements. You signal to your subconscious that you are serious, and the subconscious will mobilize all its resources to remove the mountain that stands in your way. There is a powerful technique to use when you face a significant failure or obstacle. It is the technique of revision. Never carry the memory of a failure into your future. If you had a bad interview, do not replay the bad interview in your mind. Do not tell your friends how terrible it was. If you do, you are energizing that failure and ensuring that the next interview will be the same. Instead, revise it. Go into your imagination and replay the interview as it should have gone. Hear the praise, feel the handshake, feel the satisfaction of a job well done. Rewrite history in your mind. By doing this, you neutralize the emotional charge of the failure. You extract the trauma and leave the lesson. You change the frequency you are broadcasting. The obstacle, once revised, loses its power to affect your future. It becomes a stepping stone that you have already stepped over in your mind. You must also understand that sometimes an obstacle is a form of protection. You might be striving for a goal that is actually too small for you. You might be trying to enter a room where you do not belong because a palace is being prepared for you down the road. The closed door is saving you from a life of mediocrity. The relationship that failed might be saving you from years of unhappiness. We often cannot see the full picture. We look through a glass darkly, but the higher self sees the panorama. Trust that if something is taken away, it is only to make space for something better. Nature abhors a vacuum. If you create a vacuum by losing something, and you fill that vacuum with the feeling of expectation and gratitude, something magnificent must rush in to fill it. Let us look at the biography of any great person who has ever lived. You will not find a straight line to success. You will find a graph that looks like a heartbeat, up and down, up and down. They were fired. They were bankrupt. They were rejected. They were ridiculed. But they possessed one quality that made them unstoppable. They refused to identify with their failures. They saw failure as an event, not a person. They did not say, "I am a failure." They said, "That attempt failed. I am a success." This separation of your identity from your circumstances is the key to resilience. You are the sky. The obstacles are just clouds passing through. The clouds can be dark, they can be stormy, they can hide the sun, but they can never touch the sky. They can never alter the nature of the sky. You remain vast, untouched, and whole behind the temporary storms of your life. This perspective allows you to play the game of life with a sense of lightness. When you are no longer terrified of making a mistake, you become bold. You take risks, you reach for the impossible. You understand that the worst thing that can happen is that you learn a lesson and start again with more wisdom. There is no final death in the universe, only transformation. If a dream dies, it is only so it can be resurrected in a higher form. You are a creator, and a creator is never out of options. A creator can always imagine a new scene. A creator can always construct a new bridge. So, the next time you hit a wall, do not turn around, do not slump your shoulders, touch the wall, feel it, acknowledge it, and then close your eyes, go within, and in your imagination, build a door in that wall. Walk through it. Feel the relief of being on the other side. Do this until the feeling of the obstacle is replaced by the feeling of the breakthrough. Then open your eyes and walk forward. You will find that the wall either crumbles, or you find a way around it, or you realize the wall was never really there at all. It was just a shadow of your own doubt cast upon the screen of the world. Do not envy those who seem to have an easy life. A life without obstacles is a life without growth. It is a life of stagnation. Be grateful for the mountains you have to climb, for the view from the top is only possible because of the height of the mountain. Be grateful for the struggle, for it is forging the steel of your soul. You are being prepared for a weight of glory that you cannot yet conceive. The obstacle is not your enemy, it is your trainer. It is your partner in the dance of creation. Ultimately, changing your perception of failure is an act of reclaiming your power. It is deciding that nothing outside of you has the authority to tell you who you are or what you can have. It is deciding that the only verdict that matters is the verdict of your own imagination. If you say you are a success, then 1,000 failures cannot make you a failure. They are simply plot twists in the glorious movie of your triumph. Embrace the plot twists. They make the story interesting. They make the victory sweet. Walk forward with the confidence of one who knows that they cannot fail, they can only learn, grow, and become. The stepping stones are laid out before you. Some are smooth, some are jagged, some are slippery. But they all lead to the same destination if you keep moving. Keep your eyes on the vision, keep your feet moving, and trust that every stumble is just a part of the dance. You are rising. You are expanding. And everything that stands in your way is actually there to help you up. We have journeyed through the awakening of the self, the discipline of the mind, and the conquering of obstacles. Now we arrive at the golden key that locks all of these powers into place. This is the state that transforms the labor of creation into the joy of existence. We are speaking of the state of gratitude. In the ordinary world, gratitude is often viewed as a social pleasantry, a polite reaction to receiving a gift. We are taught to say thank you after a kindness is performed. But in the world of the awakened imagination, gratitude is not a reaction, it is a cause. It is not something that happens after the manifestation. It is the atmosphere that allows the manifestation to breathe and live. To master the art of conscious creation, you must elevate gratitude from a mere mannerism to a sustained state of being, for it is the most powerful frequency of abundance the human soul can generate. To understand the metaphysical power of gratitude, you must return to the fundamental law that consciousness creates reality. The universe reflects what you are, not what you want. The state of wanting is a state of separation. It says, I do not have. Therefore, the more you want, the more you push your desire away. Gratitude is the antidote to wanting. Gratitude is the emotional signature of having. When you are truly grateful, it is because you have received. You do not thank someone for something you do not have. Therefore, when you cultivate the feeling of gratitude before the physical appearance of your desire, you are hacking the code of reality. You are signaling to your subconscious and to the universe that the gift has already been given. You are stepping into the identity of the receiver. And because the law cannot lie, if you persist in the feeling of having received, the physical evidence must follow to confirm that feeling. This is the secret meaning behind the ancient scriptures, where the great teachers gave thanks before the miracle occurred. They did not wait for the bread to multiply to say thank you. They gave thanks for the abundance while the basket looked empty to the naked eye. This act of thanksgiving in the face of scarcity is the supreme act of faith. It collapses the timeline. It bridges the gap between the invisible and the visible. When you can close your eyes and feel a tear of gratitude roll down your cheek for a healing that has not yet happened in the body, or for a check that has not yet arrived in the mail, you have sealed the deal. You have moved from hope to knowing. Gratitude is the ultimate magnet for abundance because it creates a vacuum of positivity that the universe is compelled to fill. Scarcity mentality focuses on the whole. Gratitude focuses on the donut. When you focus on what is missing, you contract your energy. You build walls of defense. You hoard. You worry. This contraction shuts off the flow of divine supply. But when you focus on what you have, no matter how small, you expand. You open your heart. You relax your nervous system. This expansion creates a channel for more to flow in. The principle is simple yet ruthless. To him who has, more will be given. To him who has not, even what he has will be taken away. Gratitude makes you him who has. Complaining makes you him who has not. We often fall into the trap of conditional happiness. We say, I will be grateful when I get the promotion, or I will be grateful when I find my soulmate. This is the trap of the sleeper. You are postponing your joy and disempowering your creator self. You are giving the external world the power to determine your internal state. The master reverses this. The master says, I am grateful now, and because I am grateful, the conditions must rise to meet my joy. You must learn to find the pulse of gratitude in the present moment, even if the present moment looks like a disaster. Even in the midst of the storm, there is the breath in your lungs, there is the beating of your heart, there is the capacity to imagine. Start there. As you focus on these simple blessings, the frequency of your mind lifts. You climb out of the basement of despair and up to the penthouse of appreciation. From that higher vantage point, you can see solutions that were invisible to you in the dark. Gratitude also serves as a powerful protective shield for your mind. We spoke earlier of guarding the gate. Gratitude is the strongest guard you can employ. It is impossible to be truly grateful and fearful at the same time. It is impossible to be grateful and angry at the same time. These emotions exist on different frequencies. When you occupy this state of gratitude, you become immune to the virus of negativity. Cynicism cannot take root in a grateful heart. Envy cannot survive in an appreciative mind. When you look at the success of another and feel grateful for it, you claim that success as part of your own world. When you look at your own challenges and feel grateful for the lessons they bring, you rob those challenges of their power to hurt you. You transmute the lead of suffering into the gold of wisdom. Let us discuss the practical application of this. How do you maintain a state of gratitude in a world that gives you so many reasons to complain? It requires a deliberate restructuring of your inner conversation. Instead of waking up and listing your problems, wake up and list your assets. Not just your financial assets, but your spiritual assets. Thank you for my imagination. Thank you for my resilience. Thank you for the sun that rose without my help. Create a mantra of thank you. Repeat it like a lullaby to your subconscious. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As you say these words, do not just repeat them robotically. Feel them. Search for the feeling of relief and gladness in your body. Let the sensation of thankfulness wash over you like warm water. This practice is especially potent right before sleep. Whatever you carry into sleep, you carry into the womb of creation for the next 8 hours. If you go to sleep reviewing your grievances, you are gestating trouble for tomorrow. But if you go to sleep counting your blessings, reviewing the moments of the day that went well, and giving thanks for the desires you assume are fulfilled, you are gestating miracles. You are setting the tone for the next day. You will wake up on the right side of the bed because you placed yourself there the night before. You will find that the world treats you better. People smile at you more. Traffic lights turn green. It feels like luck, but it is law. You are reaping the harvest of the gratitude you planted in the silence of the night. Gratitude also heals your relationship with your past. Many of us are dragged down by the heavy chains of regret and resentment. We look back at our mistakes and we cringe. We look back at those who hurt us and we simmer in anger. This keeps us tethered to the dead past. Gratitude is the knife that cuts the cord. When you can look back at your past, even the painful parts, and say, thank you for the experience, thank you for the strength it gave me, thank you for leading me to this moment of awakening, you are free. You have extracted the value and discarded the pain. You have revised the history. You are no longer a victim of your biography. You are the author of your destiny. Furthermore, gratitude is the frequency of connection. It connects you to other people in a profound way. When you appreciate someone, you validate their existence. You make them feel seen and valued. This draws the best out of them. We spoke of everyone as you pushed out. When you look at the people in your life with eyes of appreciation rather than judgment, they shift. The grumpy neighbor becomes friendlier. The critical boss becomes more supportive. Why? Because you are feeding them the energy of love. You are seeing the God in them, and the God in them rises to salute the God in you. You cannot change people by criticizing them. You can only change them by appreciating the version of them you want to see. There is a deep humility in true gratitude. It is the recognition that we are not self-made in the arrogant sense. We are supported by an infinite network of forces. The food we eat, the clothes we wear, the roads we drive on, all are the result of the labor of countless others. The life force that animates our bodies is a gift we did not earn. When we acknowledge this, we step out of the tiny, isolated ego and into the vast web of life. We realize we are supported, we are held. This dissolves the anxiety of I have to do it all alone. You realize you are co-creating with the universe, and the universe is a generous partner. The state of gratitude is also the state of the wish fulfilled in its purest form. If you want to know if you have successfully impressed your subconscious with your new reality, check your feeling. If you are still worried, you haven't done it. If you are still hoping, you haven't done it. But if you feel a quiet, simmering gratitude, you have done it. That gratitude is the smoke that proves there is a fire. It is the evidence of things not seen. When you walk through your day carrying that secret gratitude, you become magnetic. Opportunities seek you out. You do not have to chase. You become a beacon of abundance. I invite you to try an experiment. For the next 24 hours, suspend all complaints. Refuse to vocalize or internalize any dissatisfaction. Instead, turn every situation into a reason for thanks. If you are stuck in traffic, thank the universe for the time to listen to a podcast or to be still. If you have a bill to pay, thank the universe that you have the means to pay it or the service that was provided. Radical gratitude. Watch what happens to your energy. Watch what happens to your mood. You will feel a lightness, a buoyancy. You will realize that the heaviness of life was not coming from the events, but from your resistance to the events. Gratitude is the end of resistance. It is important to understand that this is not about denying reality or toxic positivity. It is about choosing which reality you want to feed. You can see the mud or you can see the lotus growing out of the mud. Both are real, but the one you focus on is the one that expands in your experience. By choosing gratitude, you are voting for the lotus. You are voting for beauty. You are voting for life. And the universe is a democracy where your vote counts. Ultimately, gratitude is the highest form of prayer. It is not a prayer of begging, it is a prayer of acknowledgement. It is saying, I know who I am, I know what I have, and I am pleased. This pleasure delights the spirit. It creates a harmonious feedback loop between the creator and the creation. When you appreciate your life appreciates in value. It grows, it blossoms, it bears fruit. So, let us make gratitude our dwelling place. Let us not just visit it on holidays or special occasions. Let us live there. Let us build our house on the foundation of thank you. Let your first thought in the morning be thank you, and your last thought at night be thank you. In the space between those two thoughts, let your life be a living testament to the abundance that flows to a grateful heart. You are rich beyond measure, not because of what is in your pocket, but because of what is in your heart. You have the power to turn a simple meal into a feast, a small house into a home, and a stranger into a friend, simply by the alchemy of your appreciation. This is the state that attracts abundance. Not the hustle, not the struggle, not the envy, but the quiet, smiling, open-armed state of gratitude. It says to the universe, I am ready for more. And the universe, which loves you with an everlasting love, delights in pouring more into a cup that is held up in thanks. Open your cup, open your heart, and watch the windows of heaven open to pour out a blessing that there shall not be room enough to receive. We have arrived at the summit of our journey together. We have traversed the valleys of our fears, navigated the rivers of our inner conversations, and learned to stand guard at the gates of our own consciousness. Now, as we prepare to part ways and you prepare to step back into the world of shadows and shapes, we must look at the trajectory of your existence from the highest possible vantage point. Life is often described as a circle, a cycle of birth and death, but in the realm of the spirit, life is not a circle, it is a ladder. It is a vertical ascent of consciousness. To climb the ladder is not merely to ascend step by step in the outer world of status and accumulation. It is instead a journey that begins within you in the realm of imagination and unshakable belief. The ladder of life is Jacob's ladder, the one that reaches from the earth of your current limitations to the heaven of your realized potential. Every rung on this ladder represents a state of consciousness. You are currently standing on a specific rung. This rung is defined by what you believe to be true about yourself and your world. The view you have of life, your income, your relationships, your health, are all determined by the rung you occupy. Most people spend their entire lives standing on the same rung, looking at the same view, complaining that the scenery never changes. They try to change the scenery by fighting the world, not realizing that the only way to see a new horizon is to move up the ladder. You cannot see the sunrise from the valley floor, you must climb the mountain. How do you climb? You do not climb with your hands and feet. You climb by the act of assumption. When you dare to assume you are the person you want to be, you have lifted your foot from the old rung and placed it on the new one. When you persist in that assumption despite the evidence of your senses, you pull your entire weight up to that new level. Suddenly your view changes. The problems that plagued you on the lower rung do not exist on the higher rung. They are not solved. They are transcended. You are literally above them. This is the secret of the ladder. You solve problems not by fighting them on their own level, but by rising to a level of consciousness where such problems cannot exist. However, this climb requires a sacrifice. You cannot climb a ladder while holding on to heavy baggage. The baggage is your old identity. It is your history of victimhood. It is your grudges, your excuses, and your smallness. To go up, you must let go. You must be willing to die to the person you were yesterday in order to give birth to the person you can be tomorrow. This is a constant process of death and resurrection. You die to poverty to be reborn as wealth. You die to loneliness to be reborn as love. You die to fear to be reborn as faith. Do not mourn the old self. Do not look back at the old rung with nostalgia. It served its purpose, but it is not your home. Your home is the summit. As you climb this ladder, you will discover the true purpose of your desires. We often think we want the house, the money, or the partner because of the pleasure they will bring, and they do bring pleasure. But the deeper purpose of desire is not the acquisition of things. The purpose of desire is to entice you to exercise your creative power. The desire is the bait. It is the carrot that motivates you to stretch your imagination, to discipline your mind, and to discover who you truly are. If you never wanted anything, you would never discover that you have the power to create worlds. You would remain asleep. So, honor your desires. They are the rungs of the ladder calling you upward. They are inviting you to expand God within you. This brings us to the final promise. The teachings we have shared, the law of assumption, the power of feeling, the mental diets, these are the laws of the promise. But what is the promise itself? The promise is that you are not a tiny, insignificant speck of dust in a vast, indifferent universe. The promise is that you are the universe itself, awakening to its own nature. You are the dreamer who has fallen asleep in a body of flesh, dreaming a dream of limitation, only to wake up and realize that you were the king all along. The ultimate goal of this journey is not just to manifest a better life, although that is a wonderful side effect. The ultimate goal is to realize your identity as the operant power. When you finally understand that there is no power outside of you, fear vanishes. Who can you be afraid of if everyone is you pushed out? What circumstance can threaten you if you know you are the author of the circumstance? You reach a state of sovereignty. You walk the earth with the quiet confidence of a lion. You no longer beg. You no longer compete. You simply appropriate what is yours by divine right. You realize that the kingdom of heaven is not a place you go to when you die. It is a state of consciousness you enter while you live. It is here. It is now. It is within you. This realization brings with it a tremendous responsibility. If you are the creator, you can no longer play the blame game. You can no longer look at the state of your life and say, it is their fault. You must look in the mirror and say, I did this. But you say it with love, not judgment. You say it with the excitement of knowing that if you built this prison, you hold the key to unlock it. You are the architect of your misfortune and the architect of your salvation. This total responsibility is the ultimate freedom. It means nothing is impossible to you. As you step forward from this moment, I ask you to make a covenant with yourself. Promise yourself that you will no longer live on autopilot. Promise yourself that you will no longer accept the evidence of your senses as final. Promise yourself that you will guard the gate of your mind with the ferocity of a warrior and the tenderness of a mother. Your mind is the only asset that matters. If you lose your fortune but keep your creative mind, you can rebuild the fortune in a year. If you keep your fortune but lose your mind to fear, you will lose everything. Protect the asset. Cultivate the garden. Watch the inner conversations. There will be days when you slip. There will be days when the old man tries to pull you back down the ladder. Do not be discouraged. A slip is not a fall. Just catch your balance. Remember who you are. Go back to the silence. Go back to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The spiritual path is not a straight line, it is a spiral. You may circle back to old lessons, but you face them from a higher level. Trust the process. Trust the bridge of incidents. Trust the invisible hands that are guiding you. You are meant for greatness. Not necessarily the greatness of fame or fortune, though those may come, but the greatness of a soul that has realized its own divinity. You are meant to live a life of wonder, where miracles are common and synchronicities are the norm. You are meant to be a light in a world that is addicted to darkness. By changing yourself, you change your world. And by changing your world, you contribute to the uplifting of the entire human race. You become a living demonstration of the law. You show others what is possible not by preaching to them, but by living it. So, climb the ladder. Do not stop at the first rung of comfort. Keep climbing. Keep imagining better than the best you know. There is no ceiling. The expansion of your consciousness is infinite. There is always more love to experience, more abundance to create, more wisdom to uncover. You are an infinite being having a temporary human experience. Play the game of life with joy. Play it with intensity. But never forget that it is a game, and you are the player, not the pawn. The universe is holding its breath, waiting to see what you will decide to be. The script is blank. The pen is in your hand. The ink is your feeling. What will you write? Will you write a tragedy of missed opportunities? Or will you write a hero's journey of triumph and transformation? The choice is yours. It has always been yours. And it will always be yours. As we close this chapter, do not let these words fade into memory like a dream upon waking. Let them take root. Let them challenge you. Let them disturb your comfortable sleep until you are fully awake. You have the tools. You have the map. You have the power. The only thing missing is your decision to be it. Decide now. Assume it now. Walk out of this moment as the person you have always wished to be. Do not wait for the feeling to come to you. Summon the feeling and command it to stay. Thank you for walking this path with me. Thank you for your courage to look within. Thank you for being a seeker of truth. The search is over. The finding has begun. You are the answer you have been looking for. You are the miracle. You are the message. Go now and let your life be the proof. Go now and climb the ladder to the stars that live within your own heart. The final promise is kept. You are free. You are whole. You are God's imagination in form. And so it is. The lecture has ended, but your real work has just begun. You now hold the keys to the kingdom. Do not let this knowledge fade into the noise of the world. If you found value here, if you found a spark of truth, I encourage you to share this lecture with someone who needs to be reminded of their power. And if you have not done so already, subscribe to the channel. We will continue to explore the depths of Neville Goddard's philosophy and the laws of the mind in future videos. There is much more to uncover. Stay with us. Walk in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Thank you for watching, and may your bridge of incidents lead you straight to your heart's desire.